we were going to cancel this show. This show almost didn't happen. And you know what? It might end abruptly or early, but for the moment, we're here. We're queer. And I'll tell you one more thing. I love you, baby. Arden, do me a favor real quick. Put me full screen for just a moment. One sec. I just want everyone to enjoy how good my hair looks right now before I put my headphones on. I want to give everybody the full effect because this is as good as my hair looks. That's how shitty I feel today. And I just wanted everyone to know that. All right, here it goes. Unfortunately, it just robs you of so much when I put these headphones on. Not everything, but I'm finally re-entering that era of I'd cut my hair short a couple years ago after being known for looking like a bit of a chubby Jesus all over the place. And now I'm getting back in that era where people were like, this is when I originally found you and thought you were a real cutie, Jimmy. Maybe it's the crushing single loneliness that I'm experiencing, but I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to try and re-enter my fat Jesus, hot fat Jesus era. So that's what this is. Welcome everybody to, this is the worst beginning to any of these shows ever. Let's make it worse. Hang on. This is the rest of the show. Let me change my thing. We're going to do this. We're not going to take calls. We're just going to make weird noises with our mouths.
Oh, just wait, ASMR. What is this? The beginning of Dune?
I was doing it long before the beginning of Dune. I'll have you know. I'm going to be standing up and down a lot in this episode because I have fucked up my back, my pussy, and my crack.
I never
also,
stand
Eric's
because I'm lazy.
I'm sorry for saying we're queer at the beginning.
I might be 1% queer. I might be 1%
everybody's
queer. I don't
at least 1%.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. We haven't figured out what it is because the ratio of inappropriate things I've sent him, we're waiting for the return inappropriate, and then we'll know the percentage. If it takes, 50, that would mean you are 2%. If it takes, and right now we're at 800, I think, things I've sent inappropriately to your inbox. So you're below 1%. I think that's how it works. I think that's how the maths. Welcome everybody to the Sunday show After Dark. This is why it's After Dark. I have this mic is usually down low like this, but I don't want to keep adjusting it as I go between standing and sitting. But as my spine gets crushed, did you know that you actually put more pressure on the discs in your spine while sitting than standing?
That makes sense.
I guess
it's probably because of the angle at which you're distributing your weight rather than it like being perfectly center. It's probably like off centering it and it's putting stress on one side or the other.
Maybe. Today's episode is brought to you by Patreon, our wonderful patrons over at patreon.com/calltheline. Did somebody say Katie Burke is in chat? Christy Burke, I mean. Or they just said, yay, Christy Burke for no reason. Is Christy here?
No, I don't think so. Cool. Someone just said they found her a couple days ago, and I just found her a couple days ago as well. So I was like, oh weird. She seems cool.
Yeah. I found her a while ago. Once her schedule is better, we've committed some time ago. I've got to check in to bring her. I don't have. Someone said, Jimmy, try lithium. Lithium's a drug for bipolar. I don't have bipolar. I'm autistic, you asshole. I know what's wrong with my head, you asshole. And autism's not even the thing that's wrong with it. That's what's right with it. I'm not trying to sound like a neurodivergent supremacist, but we are better than you. Anyway, welcome to the Sunday show After Dark, where apparently I just throw all the rules out the window. This is brought to you by patreon.com/calltheline, where there is an exclusive for patrons, for supporters podcast that Eric is actually going to be the next person. We recorded it earlier today, and we will be bringing it out, releasing it this week. So patreon.com/calltheline. It matters a lot to us. It means a lot to us. And we have other cool projects. Later this week, health permitting, I'll be releasing a video about the new channel and project that we're about to start working on, because while over on this channel, we do a lot of call-in shows, we also have a ton of collaborative power between everybody who works here. So why are we limiting ourselves? And the next project that we are going to be launching, I'm not going to tell you the name yet. Patrons are going to get it first and get to hear some of the details first, but we are going to launch a channel with a series of game shows that are built to teach critical thinking and debate skills. And I'm currently working on crafting them. And I have to say, I'm good at something. I'm good at so few things, and making game shows, I'm pretty sure I'm good at. I'm pretty impressed with myself. All right, let's see. How many more minutes can I do before Eric feels like he gets to get a word in edgewise? I'm Jimmy
Well, I've
Snow.
given
This
up
is
already.
Eric, Skeptics and Scoundrels. Wait until they hear the podcast. It was two people who never shut the fuck up talking on a podcast. It was pretty good. I think you all like it. I will say, I think I gave you the mic more because I felt worse earlier than I feel now, but my potential to get worse quickly now is higher. I don't know. I'm just not, my health is not doing well. My back is doing like shit. So we'll see how this all goes. This is a call-in show where we want to talk to you about God and Steph. If you believe in God, we'd like to know why. Call 720-619-2288, 720-619-2288, or there is a web link in the description. And that's, what else do we have to do? Is that pretty much it? I'm going to go back to standing. I'm already kind of feeling like, don't like it down here. Are we set? Is that all we have to do before calls? I don't remember. I don't watch
I guess
this
so.
channel.
You wanna like get on one of those things where you hang upside down? Just hang upside down, flip the camera
You're talking
upside
about a teeter
down.
hang
You're
up?
good.
I have one of those.
Yeah.
Things. I do not want to get on that right now, because while it would probably relieve some of the pressure on my back, I am currently very nauseous, and moving the contents of my stomach toward my throat sounds bad. I
That
feel
would
like it
probably
would go
not
up my
go
nose
well.
if I threw up while hanging. But I will say it took me a while to be able to get comfortable even doing it at all. Now I can swing around on it. I'm great, but it is a funny thing to like. It's such a minor thing that you would think of like, this wouldn't be a big deal, but it fucked me up for a while getting used to that thing. Anyway, nobody cares about this. Let's take a call. Do you have anything you want to plug or say or do or
No,
lick?
okay. Nothing I haven't already said this week. Yeah, I'm ready for some calls.
Tight. Let's talk to Milton in Maine, I think is where Milton is. Milton, you're on the line with Eric and Jimmy. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a bit late where I am, but nothing too late. So
Yeah. 8:00, right?
yeah, if it goes for too long, I might get a little sleepy because I go to bed a bit early. Yeah, basically, did you see the little note that I had in the topic that I had for you, Jimmy?
It says that I successfully disillusioned you of Mormonism, but now you have evidence of the golden plates, which seems contradictory.
Yes. The short story is I've been watching you since 2019, so
Oh, nice.
and I still watch you, so it's fine. I stopped watching
Cool.
most atheist YouTubers actually, but I still watch you because I like your AI video is pretty cool, and I was like I should probably still watch them, and I decided to call in because yeah.
Word. Awesome. All right. Well, Milton, you said you have evidence for the golden plates. When you say evidence for the golden plates, what are you referring to? Evidence that Moroni, in fact, did abridge and store plates in a hill that then Joseph Smith
No.
later. Oh, okay. What do you got?
I mean Joseph Smith, and this is not necessarily definitive proof that Joseph Smith was a prophet, because there were many individuals who believed the claim about the golden plates and did not believe Joseph Smith was a prophet, such as the witnesses to the golden plates themselves. My claim is just that Joseph Smith had in his possession golden plates. That's all I'm trying to say.
And what evidence do you have of that?
My evidence comes from an interview with one of the witnesses, David Whitmer. It was an interview with Theodore Turley, who was asking him about his witness thingy. Now, David Whitmer in 1838 was excommunicated from the church and later said that Joseph Smith was not a prophet and that the Doctrine and Covenants was an evil document. But when he was interviewed asking about his belief, he said, he was asked by Turley, quote, all I know is that you published to the world that an angel did present those plates to Joseph Smith. And Whitmer responded by saying, and these are all quotes, by the way, from the interview, I now say I handled those plates. There were fine engravings on both sides. I handled them. So he's saying that he actually held the plates in his hands. And when he was asked why he didn't believe Joseph Smith was a prophet, he said, quote, I could not read it, and I do not know whether it is true or not. So I could actually, I don't know how I'd show it to you, but I do have a link for my source if there's any way to show it with you, but that's basically my evidence.
Yeah, it's hard because your evidence counters. Martin Harris also claimed that none of the other witnesses, the 3 or the 8, ever handled the plate. So in looking up, it's basically of these people who lied a fucking shit ton, who's lying when. And I don't, as the golden plates and the story of the golden plates are so ridiculous, and were there physical plates to handle, it wouldn't make any sense to have denied them. And to the point that you actually had one of the witnesses saying like, well, when I said I saw them, what I meant was that I saw them with my spiritual eye, was the claim later made. I don't remember if that was Whitmer or not, but again, you're basically going like, well, remember that time the liar no longer needed to lie, which I don't even know if that's true. For all I know, admitting that he never actually handled the plates may have opened him up to fraud liabilities or something. I don't know. But I'm not familiar with anybody going, yeah, David Whitmer, that story makes the most sense with it being true that he physically handled the plates that Joseph was claiming was the Book of Mormon.
So this is going mostly off memory because I don't actually have a source for either of the other 2 accounts. But from what I remember, and I try to be diligent in this type of stuff, but I'm prone to error like everyone. But to my memory, Oliver Cowdery said that he also saw the plates, but they were shown to him by supernatural means. And Martin Harris, as you said, was the guy who was like, I saw them with my spiritual eye. But Martin Harris, when he had that interview,
by the way, Oliver Cowdery claiming to have never physically seen the plates and only seen them with a spiritual eye, that should also give you pause about the existence, because you can actually see the Book of Mormon has Oliver Cowdery's fingerprints all over it too. Like, Oliver Cowdery isn't one of the people who just fell for Joseph's shit. The most likely scenario is that he is a co-conspirator, that he was aware they were making that shit up. And so the fact that even he doesn't claim to have ever seen or handled the plates should be a bit of a red flag to you.
It would be, I'll counter it by these 2 things. The first is that David Whitmer, he would have essentially nothing to lose from denying that he ever held the golden plate. So he's not a member of the church at this time.
We don't actually know that.
He's claiming that, ever since 1838, he wasn't a member, and this interview was in like 1845. So at this time, he wasn't a member. Yeah.
I'm not willing to make the claim when I don't know things like whether or not it would open him up to fraud liabilities, open him up for people to be able to sue him or something, if there is some portion of the story. And clearly there was something going on with a lot of the witnesses, because there was also a lot of hesitation to go as, Mormons love to bring up like, but Oliver Cowdery, even though he left, he never claimed that Joseph made it all up. Because there was clearly a limit to what all of them were willing to say, because of the consequences they were more worried about from the church or the state if they were to go full mask off.
Mm-hmm. Well, why did some of them go a little bit further in claiming that Joseph Smith was not a prophet? Because I think claiming that Joseph Smith was not a prophet, the Doctrine and Covenants, is like a bunch of nonsense. Would probably equally as rile people up as claiming that the Book of Mormon was a bunch of nonsense. I don't really follow that last point.
explanation did Whitmer offer for what the plates actually were if he's willing to call out that all of this was bullshit?
He just says that there were, quote, there were fine engravings on both sides, and I handled them. That's what he says. And he says I could not read it. That's what he says.
Yeah, again,
He
so
doesn't
none of these are things where I'm going. The simplest explanations are often the simplest Occam's razor, or the simplest explanation is often the right one. But in this scenario, there's a lot of simple explanations that it could be. First of all, when he says both sides, it sounds like he's talking about handling one page, and whether or not to convince the right people, Joseph would have made a forgery. Sure, it sounds like, well, now you're just making up could-bes. Yeah, but I'm making up could-bes that are a lot more likely than he actually dug up golden records in America left by indigenous people from 2,000 years prior or 1,400 years prior.
This argument doesn't necessarily prove that he got them from digging them up, but Whitmer at the beginning of that quote does say, "I say now I handled those plates," plural. So it was multiple that he was holding. And to go back to a previous point about the other witnesses, these are individuals who have said that Joseph Smith is not a prophet, and it's not like they would necessarily lose anything from claiming that the plates were and the angel, and that was all nonsense. So
again, we don't. What you're just describing, we don't actually know whether or not that those specific things offer them any loss. I understand where you're like, I don't see what the loss would be, but again, what you're trying to sell to me is that he had the resources to somehow get enough gold plates to pass on what he claims there were. And by the way, even those little representations they've done, these plates would have to be ginormous to fit the Book of Mormon on it. So if you're saying he has the entirety of the plates and not just a few plates, we're talking about a massive thing that he'd be handling. And I just don't find any of these compelling. Is there a possibility that he figured out a way to fraudulently represent the plates for some, but for some reason he doesn't fraudulently present them to some of the other people who had fallen for his ruse? Just David, and I think Mary Whitmer also, who wasn't David's wife, but Mary Whitmer claimed to have them shown to her by Moroni in an account we heard about a few years back. Yeah,
I think it'd be reasonable to claim that some individuals who do not believe that Joseph Smith was a prophet and are actively saying that they don't believe Joseph Smith is a prophet obviously would not really want to go on and on about how all of this is true and all of this is that way. Which by the way, I don't know a lot about Martin Harris in particular. He was the one who claimed that he saw the spiritual light. I haven't actually read that account, to be clear. The only thing I've actually heard of it was other people telling me stuff. Although I am Oliver Cowdery, his account where he says that it was shown to him by supernatural means. I've read that account, and it doesn't really sound like he's saying I didn't see it the same way that you're seeing me right now. He's just saying I did see it the way you saw it, just through supernatural means. Kind of like how
Milton, what's your overarching theory here? Because I have in here that you're still a theist, but I assume that you are not a Mormon, right?
Not a Mormon. No, I am a Mormon. Actually, I just turned in my mission papers. So yeah, I'm a member of the church.
So I originally convinced you that Mormonism was false, and you've now gone back to Mormonism?
Yes. In case you're wondering, it wasn't this specific point that got me to go back to church.
Boy,
overall,
I'm wondering a lot, because Mormonism is one of the most obvious frauds. And once you get out, it's hard to fall for it again. So I'm wondering what path you went on when it is so clearly fraudulent.
Interestingly, it was actually going to college that made me go back to church, which is
so. What college?
Not what most people.
Did you go to a Mormon college? Yeah. What college would have made you?
Oh goodness, no. I was like, okay, no way I was going to a Mormon college. I went to the University of Maine in Orono. So
what about going to college made you want to go back to church? Not just go back to church, but buy into it. You've read the Book of
By it-
Mormon cover to cover, right?
Yep, I've read the CS letter. I've read I read a lot of literature on various atheists arguing against Christianity and all these other things. So
I don't even mind.
What-
I don't even
what
care
ma-
whether or not who you're consuming are atheists or not. Just taking the direct cases of like the science behind the anthropology, the absolute man. I hope before you make the mistake of going on your mission, because Milton, what's going to happen is you're going to go on your mission, and at about somewhere between 30 and 35, you're going to see your way out of it again, and you're going to really want all the time and tithing money back, because that's basically the pattern these days. But I really hope that you put some effort into finding out who they were referring to as the Lamanites, the absolute link that these prophets, while being prophetic, are making to the modern day indigenous people, the fact that it is impossible for that, but also that the pure claims that are in the Book of Mormon about what happens on the American continent, it isn't. People love to say evidence of absence of evidence. Absent evidence isn't evidence of absence, except it actually is if you are making claims that there is a certain point where you say millions of people died on a continent in a big war and you can't find any evidence of it, where it does start to become evidence of absence. Or like the Red Sea, the Exodus story, the fact that they claim these people were in the desert for 40 years and don't drop so much as a pot. Meanwhile, we can find evidence of trading routes that we knew about where a couple of people a couple of times used the same route in a much shorter period of time, and yet we can find evidence of that. The Book of Mormon makes these ginormous claims about things that happen in America. They didn't happen. The Book of Mormon also makes claims about the history of this continent, and we know via DNA that the indigenous people are not a lost tribe of Israel. And so whatever apologetics you're going to, where these people are like after the fact going like, well, but what it could mean is this, it is this, even though those apologetics don't have the endorsement of the church, you are falling for, and I don't mean to be mean, it's not just a fraud, it's an obvious fraud. This is the speakers out of the van at the gas station level of fraud.
Okay. There's a lot of claims made. I'm obviously not going to be able to go through everything and talk about why it doesn't ultimately convince me that the church isn't true. But I don't.
You don't need to
like,
offer
what do
my
you-
claims. I'd love to hear what your claims of its evident truth are.
Okay, I can answer that. I don't. First thing I need to claim, like, really big. This is something you mentioned quite a bit in your what you're just talking about. It is very much possible. Like you certainly would agree. It's very much possible to disagree with a prophet and still call yourself a member of the church. It's possible to. It's not possible to say that the Book of Mormon is not the most correct book out there and still call yourself a member of the church. I would agree you'd have to do that. Like the Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, you'd have to hold those up. But you don't have to hold up every single word of the prophets out there, nor do you have to hold up the word of the intro to the Book of Mormon, which, by the way, was written after Joseph Smith died, where it says that the Native Americans were the principal ancestors of the Native Americans, so that Lamanites were the principal ancestors of them. As far as archaeological, I would like to
Hang on, Milton,
briefly
because you
say,
just made some stuff. You just said some things before you actually got to the things that is going to be your evidence. As you're sitting there and sharing all of that, why does it not give you pause that you're saying, I can disagree with a prophet even when the prophet was saying that revelation was showing this, or speaking in the revelatory way, speaking as, and you are in a church which tells you if the prophet is saying it, especially in a meeting at the head of a congregation, at conference, and their equivalents back then, you can consider what comes out of their mouth as coming from the mouth of God. So how you can sit there and go, I can disagree with them. Milton, if a prophet sometimes speaks for God and is right, and sometimes speaks for God and is wrong, how do you know when they're right and when they're wrong if they, who can literally talk to God face to face in the early days, and some Mormons believe now, couldn't figure it out themselves?
I would say that doctrine is contained in the scriptures, so the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, Pearl of Great Price, and in official declarations like the family proclamation to the world, the living Christ. That's where doctrine is contained.
And the church also
Yeah.
also teaches that which is in the ensign and that which the prophet says at the head of a congregation over which he is presiding is the word of God. You're omitting, you're cherry picking what you want to be right and what you want to be wrong. But go back there's plenty of horrible stuff in all of them, Milton. But go ahead with your archaeological evidence that you believe you have.
I'll fully admit that there's not archaeological evidence for every single event. Actually, most of the events in the Book of Mormon don't have
What's one
any
event there is
archaeological
archaeological evidence? Right. What's one event
could
there
not-
is archaeological evidence for?
No, the one that's most commonly pushed towards is one in the Old World, where on their way from Jerusalem to the Red Sea, the Lehi and Nephi and those people bury one of their dead in a place called Nahum. It's not particularly strong evidence, but there is a place that was found by archaeologists in the 1980s that it was a temple of sorts that has that name. So that's one location. And
Right, and they never talk about building a temple of sorts, but yeah, the burying. So somebody was buried in a religious area according to religious traditions, and Joseph Smith happened to guess that correct, as though the name wouldn't have been available to him, that he didn't have maps of the area. You're right. This is weak evidence.
But
and you haven't even gotten to the
argument.
American continent. Evidence that
No,
anything that do you have evidence for one event that happened that the Book of Mormon claims happened on the American continent?
On the American continent, no, and I honestly would not expect there to be one. But
Yes, you would. Why wouldn't you? How many people died in the final war in the Book of Mormon?
It was numbered in the millions.
Right. And what sort of weaponry did they have?
It says that they had iron, they had steel,
Swords.
they had steel.
Yeah.
They had swords too. Scimitars,
Yep.
slings. They had
Right.
they had a few types of weapons.
When did
And how many?
when did that occur? That battle?
That would have been 3,000 years ago.
3,000 years ago?
No. The final battle in the Book of Mormon happens around 400 AD.
Oh, the final
1600
battle. I
years
started
ago.
talking about. I started talking about this thing in the Jaredites. That was the
Right.
The Jaredites one was the one that was
you're
numbered
talking
in
about
the millions.
even further back before steel had been refined. You're talking about,
Mhm.
even bigger, but I'm talking about the one at the hill Cumorah between the Nephites and the Lamanites, killing hundreds of thousands using chariots, steel, swords. And again, you're right, 1,000 years prior to that, 1,500 years prior to that, it claims that there was another war even larger amongst the Jaredites. And you said I wouldn't expect to find evidence of that?
Of that specific event, yes.
Either of them. Why?
So a quick Google search for one of the oldest. So a quick Google search of the oldest battlefields discovered. We have the Tolnes Valley battlefield in Germany from 1250 BC, so over 3,000 years ago, and we have evidence of military equipment and horse bones. So I would think that if we had massive military campaigns with massive amounts of death in the United States region, in the North American region, we would have something, because we have this from Germany and we have, among others. So I think just simply saying, hand waving it and saying, "Oh, we couldn't expect to have evidence because it was so long ago." I think that's patently false, because we have evidence of other battlefields from even older times.
And how come we can track the where horses evolved and moved across the different continents starting about 4 million years ago, and how they actually stopped existing on the American continent about 10,000 years ago until around, it would have been the 15th or 16th century when Spain brought them over. And so we actually have a good accounting for these horses and where they are, except for specifically when the Book of Mormon claims the horses are there. I think it's wild that you are talking about some of the biggest anthropological events in history with sizes of populations that are also impossible in the timelines they're offering.
I'm
And you're going, I wouldn't
would
expect to
disagree with
find
that.
evidence of these civilizations. Of course you disagree with that, Milton. You think that the book is true when it's impossible for the book to be true. So you have to disagree because you have to basically invoke magic that these two little
of all the
tribes over
different
a couple
areas
hundred
of
years
study-
turned into millions of people. Go on.
Of all the different areas of study, I would like to say that archaeology is what I'm least familiar with. What I was going to mention was a recent discovery using more modern technology by archaeologists who found in Mesoamerica very large, surprisingly large cities in Mesoamerica.
And
Are you
Milton,
familiar with
they
this?
know who those people are and where they came from. I'm not saying there weren't people in the American continent in the time period
Well,
the Book of Mormon
people
claims.
with
Hang
cities
on.
and
I'm
highways
saying
and
we
trade.
actually know who was on the American continent and who their ancestors are and whether they were practicing Judaism or not, or whether or not they mentioned people who were practicing Judaism or Christianity after the Lamanites and Nephites get Christianity through an act of teleportation. What you are describing, Milton, is another point against the Book of Mormon.
How is this a point against the Book of Mormon? I'm a little...
The anthropology, you keep saying archaeology. Anthropology is the thing I would recommend you look into. We know when you say, hey, there are these developed cities, these big cities. Yes, and they're not lost tribes of Israel. We know where they've come from. We know what religion they were practicing. We know their anthropological development, and it ain't from Jerusalem, from whence they came, and they aren't related to the Jews in any way. They're not lost tribes. This is the point.
Well,
So you said you don't know archaeology well. I don't know if you even know what anthropology is. What is the
It's a
branch of
study-
evidence that you think
study
is
humans.
positive? Okay, good. I'm glad you know.
What?
And more than that, it's their history. It brings in some of their biology. It'll bring in some evolution. But yeah, the development of Homo in general, it goes further than sapiens, and where they've been and what they've been up to. None of which even remotely collaborates the Book of Mormon. So what's the field of science or study that you think does corroborate either Mormonism or the Book of Mormon? Because it really seems like, on my end, if I had to guess, you went to school, you saw things at school that felt wrong because you were raised differently. And when you went back to church, you felt a sense of peace and community return. And that sense of peace and community you mistook for the Holy Ghost, or you will say was the Holy Ghost, affirming that you were in the right place. And you've built your testimony off that since then. And you haven't even said anything like that. And yet I feel like that's pretty much what your evidence is. You can tell me if I'm wrong, where I got it wrong.
That's not what my evidence is. It's not. I didn't get a burning in the bosom, and I did not go to church and do any of that.
You said you
I
went back to church after you went to college. So what was the thing at college that pushed you back to church?
I didn't go to college and just reject everything I learned, nor do I still reject most of the things I learned. Most of it was very valuable.
But what was it about
information.
college? Because you said going to college made you go back to church. What was it about college that did that?
Mostly was studying philosophy and literature. Those were the two primary things. Languages and philosophy. Those are the two primary things that really caught my interest. And one, I was quite surprised by how many of my professors were Christian. If they weren't Christian, which a lot of them aren't, they were surprisingly sympathetic towards worldviews in the sense that they weren't just flippantly dismissive of theism in the same way that I was when I first went to college. And I joined a group on campus called Ratio Christi. It was a philosopher who was the president of that particular group. All people of all kinds of different religions kind of showed up and talks about your beliefs and why you believe in them, and you have to use reason. You can't just say, oh, I have burning in my bosom, the Holy Spirit tells me. You can't use the God of the Gap argument. You have to actually show that you're...
Milton, let's get this a little more succinct. What was the thing that made you leave Mormonism? What did you realize wasn't true before?
The thing that initially made me leave Mormonism, I was actually watching one of your videos. It was the what would take me to go back to church, and that's what initially got me thinking about this. And hey, wait, maybe it is true. The thing that ultimately got me to leave was Mormon, the LDS history, so like polygamy and evolution was a really, really big one. That one was huge. But it was also the history of the church.
So it wasn't my
too.
videos that got you to leave, because I have not focused largely on polygamy. In fact, it's come up very, very little on my channel. Nor have I, while I have advocated for evolution, I very rarely have brought up the incompatibilities with evolution in the Mormon church, because I've actually been very open about that the church does not prohibit you from accepting evolution, even though it is incompatible with some of their beliefs that are taught in the temple during your endowment ceremony. So what
you made a
so
video,
so far you what was the
sorry.
what I'm just saying, don't tell me it was my videos that convinced you not, and then not list something from my videos. But you're saying polygamy, the practice of polygamy was, so basically you had that's not a good reason to leave, because that's just an emotional, like, polygamy is wrong because I don't understand polygamy. So that's not a good reason to believe. And evolution isn't
But that's not
prohibited
why
by
I
the
did
church. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
That's what I've been asking is, why did you do it?
You made a video about responding to a guy who inspired the Mr. Atheist thing. That video about evolution, that's one I saw. And then also I don't know what video it was, but you were talking about how Joseph Smith basically had affairs. And then after he was caught in the affair, he said, oh no, she's just another wife or something like that. It was that in particular. It wasn't the fact that he had multiple wives. It was just the fact that it was like, he's using his power to get away with something that he was caught doing.
So
yeah,
so
at the
what
time
we're
he didn't
hearing
use
is
that as the excuse to his wife. That was later the excuse given. I'd have no idea how he worked it out with his wife.
yeah. Can you identify anything specific, like a Jimmy bringing up anything in any of his videos, or somebody else bringing up something in their videos that goes against some of the factual claims of the Mormon religion? Because it sounds like you're just kind of just appealing to moral objections, which
I'm
don't
going to
really
be
point to the
honest.
truth of the matter.
You actually sound more like a person who's calling to claim that you left and didn't leave than a person who actually legitimately left. You're raising so many red flags for me that you're mentioning, like, first of all, the Josh Feuerstein video, again, has nothing to do with Mormonism. So I'd love some sort of detail that even makes me believe you left in the first place.
I'm doing this in good faith. If evolution is, like, I was raised in a young Earth Creationist household. My parents still believe that. And my understanding was that evolution was against the teachings of the church. It wasn't evolution alone. These were the first things I started to be quite troubling. There was more to it after that. Yeah, that was it kind of led me down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but it didn't take long. It was a few months after that.
Have you heard of the Glass Box podcast?
No.
It's called I think it's Glass Box with Bryce Blakenagel. And before you leave, please at least start that podcast, because right now it sounds like you're like, well, there were very obvious things that I didn't realize my family was doing wrong in regards to the church. And so then I didn't really leave the church. I left my family's version of Mormonism, but again, the evolution thing. But now you are, and it's weird because you're basically saying you didn't leave over these other things that you're aware people have problems with. Apparently you've read the CES letter and just reconciled it. I don't know if that's because you then read rebuttals and didn't read the follow-up rebuttals to the rebuttals, or what, because the rebuttals are super, super weak, but they're very effective against people who believe in the church and want to find, as many people are with biases, like, oh, I'm feeling bad about this. I've got my doubts now. CES letter, please give me some words I can glue onto to get rid of these uncomfortable doubts. I don't know where you stop, but again, it's like a person is telling me I stopped believing in Santa because of your videos, and now I've made my way back to Santa, when it's like there's the evidence at this point, and supposedly that you had left and are willing to explore. I'm not just here to say I don't believe in Mormonism. Mormonism is false. It is a fraudulent religion. And I feel like we've been at this now for how long? And we've still not even gotten a clear answer of
30
why
minutes.
you are there or what actually made you leave. 23 minutes.
Okay. Well, can we leave on a good note?
No, I'm not saying leave. I'm saying just give us that info. Eric, what did you say?
Okay, give it.
Hmm?
It was
Eric
many
said
different
something over there.
arguments,
Oh.
by the way. There wasn't one particular argument that just boom, I now believe this. I didn't have a moment. It was many different arguments, for both ways.
Why did Joseph Smith fall for the obvious forgery of the Kinderhook plates?
Yeah, okay. I don't know.
Right. A prophet, the guy who definitely claims to talk directly to God, fell for the Kinderhook plates, fell for some Greek yogurt lids that someone pretended to write scriptures on.
I don't know a lot about the Kinderhook plates to say that whether or not the few things I have heard are all completely accurate, because I haven't delved into a lot of the.
So when you read about it in the CES letter, why did you not follow up on it?
I have followed up on some things, like most of the claims about the witnesses. I followed up on that quite a bit, but I have not yet followed up particularly about the Kinderhook plates. It's mostly a lot of the arguments from the literary arguments, the philosophical arguments. That's what I studied a lot in college, and so that's the stuff that I really delved into. And I haven't delved into a lot of the other stuff. Are you
under the impression that the Book of Mormon is literarily sound?
Yeah.
Holy smokes. I wish of the things you would watch the series I did with Aron Ra, Bryce Blankenagel, and a bunch of others where we read the book chapter by chapter. That series available to you as well. That book is nonsense. It is literally, oh man. Okay, so Kinderhook plates you don't know. Why did Joseph Smith feel empowered to make a claim?
What do you mean by literary sound?
It is clear that it is a person imitating what he thinks a religious book sounds like, and it comes off as very obvious very often with the overuse of certain things, with the way he makes up words that are kind of like they sound sort of Shakespearean but aren't actual words and wouldn't have been something to. It's like when you lie and there's no stakes for lying, making up words. A lot of Mormons like to hide behind like, oh, well, a do was a popular saying at the time. So a do is included in there to be relevant to like what it would have been like then. So fine for that one, but it doesn't work for so many other phrases. And not to mention, Milton, when you actually get out of the church and you read that thing, some of it reads as though he and Oliver are making jokes to see if anybody will call them on it. The amount of sexual innuendo in there is fucking bananas. But you said that the literary thing you like, so my questions now go beyond that. Go back to the sort of line I was doing before. Why did Joseph Smith feel empowered by the Spirit to claim that there were living people on the moon who were 6 feet tall and living, who looked like Quakers, believing he was actually having a spiritual vision from God of these people?
I honestly have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy shit. He claimed a lot of crazy shit. Do you know what Brigham Young then did? He upped the ante and claimed that people now are also living on the sun. That's what these orbs are for. If they had known about Mars, but weirdly, they didn't know about Mars, or they would have said that Mars had people on it too. It's not like in the 1800s we hadn't discovered Mars yet, but they hadn't made it to these guys. I don't know what it is you're finding compelling about something that is so... Why is the Brigham Young branch of the church valid when Joseph Smith intended for and spoke to that the church was going to continue through his bloodline, not through Brigham Young? Why is the LDS church more valid than the Community of Christ, which actually did follow through his bloodline?
It's not supposed to follow through your bloodline.
That's not according to him. Joseph Smith believed in a lot of nepotism. Yeah, he believed in nepotism a lot. So that's the prophet that you're disagreeing with, speaking to the guy who's putting his own name into, and I think the funniest thing is that you have people referencing Jesus Christ in the Book of Mormon, allegedly at a time period before he was born. So God is willing to speak to prophets after Joseph Smith is born and say what the guy's name was going to be. But in the Bible, it's a big mystery, and we can't even be positive that it's the right guy. But not in the Book of Mormon. They make that shit crystal clear from the onset when they're writing it after the fact. But when you're writing it before the fact, rather, when you're translating it, quote unquote, after the fact, but written before the fact. But when it's actually written before the fact and you have proof of that, these prophets don't get to hear that his name is Jesus. It's a silly, silly book, man. It's a silly, silly religion.
What? You're just you're rapid firing a lot of things at me, and I can't respond to all of that at once. So what is it that do you have a question for me, or like why I
mostly just giving you lots to think about? It's we haven't necessarily gotten a direct. What's that? Well, yeah, go ahead, Eric. Eric has some questions for you. Go ahead.
I got a few questions. I mean, obviously, I'm not the Mormonism expert that Jimmy or you are.
Can I say something real quick? Can I say something real quick to Jimmy? I just want to say,
go for it.
I do want to answer any questions you have, and I do want to have an actual discussion because I still watch your channel. I think you're pretty cool. I like your sense of humor too, and I want to have a discussion about essentially what I believe and why I believe it. That's all.
I just hope we save you before you waste your time 2 years in the mission field. Go ahead, Eric, and then I do have follow-up questions before wrapping it up.
Actually,
sure.
Jimmy, I'll call back after I'm done from my mission, and we'll see how things go after that.
Yeah, 3 weeks into it, I hope.
All right.
Do you know where you're going yet, or you've only put in your papers?
Tell me that. I put in my papers. I don't know where I'm going yet.
All right, go ahead, Eric.
I hope I go to a foreign country.
Right.
Yeah, you want the easier baptisms. They're easier to fool over there.
Yeah, you have a lot more success in countries with generally less education than those with more education.
Right. I assume you actually want to go to a foreign poor country, because those are the places where all the people come back talking about how spiritually uplifted they are.
I'm fine with going to Europe. I want to go to another country so I can speak another language. That's particularly what I want to do.
Don't worry, there's poor countries in Europe.
Anyway,
all right, go on, Eric.
All right, so Milton, I'm going to ask you a few questions here, and I'm not directly attacking the Mormonism position. I'm just trying to figure out where you're coming from, because we got some conflicting information. What was written in the notes here isn't necessarily accurate, so I'm going to try to ignore that and just get it from your lips. So you were born to the Mormon religion, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so your parents are believers, you're a believer. You at some point heard a few things, and you mentioned polygamy, you mentioned evolution, and you then declared yourself not a Mormon anymore. You were through some process disabused of that, and then you went back to college, and through your interactions with professors and certain college groups, you then decided that you were a Mormon again. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think it's valuable to know whether we're wrong about the positions we hold? For instance, I believe in the theory of evolution. I believe in the theory of gravity, the theory of germ theory of disease and such. When I say believe in, I mean I accept them to be true. Do you think it's important that if we accept something, we have an exit door out of that belief? For instance, if I accept evolution, I should have some means by which to determine, okay, I'm wrong about this belief, and then I can exit, right? Do you think that's important?
Yeah, I could exit my belief if I wanted
to. Okay.
Excuse me,
that's
if
great.
I
I'd love to hear that.
Otherwise.
Okay, no, I think that's great. So what is your exit door out of Mormonism? What is the thing that would tell you that Mormonism is false and you would leave it behind?
I think ultimately it wouldn't be any one particular bit of evidence, but you need the evidence against it to outweigh the evidence for it, and that is going to be a very lengthy process. I'm still in that process.
So that's interesting, because that's very different than the evidence that I would need to abandon the theory of evolution or gravitational theory or the germ theory of disease. I have very simple falsification criteria for all of those, which I can share if you want, but they're very simple. I don't need to have this amalgamation of things come up and then sway me out of this position. But let's go a little more granular than that. Let's talk about that. What was the battle that was in that you were talking about in North America that millions of people died? What was that called, Jimmy? Which one was that?
The millions was the Jaredites. The several 100,000 was the Nephites versus the Lamanites. So one is in 400 AD and the other's in like 1200, maybe 1000 BC, something like that.
So Milton, either of those battles, what would convince you they didn't occur?
What would convince me that they did not occur? That it'd be very difficult. I mean, you first have to, because it's very different.
What would
convince
it's not like
me with germ theory and all these other things? Those are, those are scientific hypotheses, and they can be tested in accordance with
they're scientific
method.
Yeah, they're scientific theories. They can be tested. They're scientific theories, though, but there's no real difference. They're both making claims. The scientific theory is making claims. You're making a claim. So if that claim is false, how do we know? Because personally, if somebody told me a massive battle occurred in an area, I go examine that area, and there isn't a trace of evidence. Not even an arrow.
It doesn't say where the battle occurred. Okay. Well, you would have to make a prediction based on what's in the Book of Mormon, but the Book of Mormon doesn't. It gives some details, but it doesn't give very precise details, and that's the issue with it as far as verifying it.
It would have to make a prediction.
That's one of the issues.
So the prediction of the Book of Mormon is what? Because the Book of Mormon talks about the past. So I don't see how it makes predictions.
We should probably find some iron, some steel, probably a lot more iron than steel. Those things tend to preserve a lot better than other materials. And so we'd probably expect to find those. And to my knowledge, there's no steel been found, but there is iron that has been found in the Americas, although nothing to the scale of a large battle.
Or in weapon form, not in sword form, I should say. No iron sword.
Yeah, have we found one iron sword from that time period in the United States or North America?
North America, from the Jaredites time period, I'm clueless about that. I don't know if it was from that specific time period, nor am I aware of any specific swords that were found. Probably not. Although the Book of Mormon doesn't say that they exclusively use swords.
No,
but
just also use swords.
I'm done talking.
There was 3 swords, and the other million people had slingshots. Come on, be reasonable.
So Milton, what I'm basically saying here is that there's a claim here within Mormonism that a battle occurred in this region, right? And we have no evidence to support that this battle actually took place. We have no evidence of weapons of war, even from, like I said, in the Germany battle from 3,000 plus years ago. We still have bones from that battle, let alone swords. So we don't have that evidence here in the United States. We have nothing to support the claim that this battle took place, yet you ignore that and still think it did happen. And I'm asking you, if you were wrong about that, how would you know? Because you're ignoring the lack of evidence. So I'm saying, okay, fine, you ignore the lack of evidence. What evidence could there be that could be presented to you that would disabuse you of that position?
It'd be quite difficult. I'm not. I wanted to talk about the church history and some other stuff, but I didn't want to talk about archaeology all that much because, again, I don't know that, or anthropology. I don't know that much about it.
That's totally fine, and it's fine. It's fine to. So Milton, it's fine to be ignorant about those subjects. What I'm trying to point out, ultimately, is that you have stuck yourself in a room with no exit door because you're ignoring the lack of evidence for this event, and you have no idea to determine whether the event didn't happen. You're sitting there waiting. You're sitting there basically saying, I know this event happened. I'm going to sit and wait for evidence for it. But there's a possibility that event didn't actually happen. And you're going to find yourself waiting forever. That's you said that there's no evidence for this battle in the United States, right?
There might not be any evidence.
But do you expect any evidence to be found
ever? There might not be any evidence of the event. It could be that.
Okay, so if there's no evidence of the event, why even believe it then?
Just deteriorate away.
So Milton, if there's no evidence of the event, why even believe that occurred?
That's not what I said.
You just said there's no evidence of the event.
What? I believe it exists in the Book of Mormon. I think there are other ways.
So what's the evidence of it?
To demonstrate this? Like if you could demonstrate that Joseph Smith was a prophet through other means, then I think it would be reasonable to say.
Could Joseph Smith have been a prophet?
Happen.
Could Joseph Smith? Hold on, Milton. Could Joseph Smith have been a prophet and still been wrong about this event?
Could he? Well,
that's my question to you.
If this event in particular was wrong, then the Mormon Church is wrong. It would mean that the Mormon Church is false because
Milton. That's not what I asked you.
Milton,
I'm sorry. Milton, listen to my question here. That's not what I asked you. Could Joseph Smith have been a prophet and still been wrong about this particular event?
No.
No, it's impossible?
According to the account of Mormonism,
I don't think the lack of evidence. What I'm trying to say is that if you could prove through other means that Joseph
almost unaware of being a prophet, because you're talking about the story is he's using the Urim and Thummim and a literal power of God to prophesy the translation. It would mean he was somehow to somehow be a prophet and be wrong about that would have meant he was some other type of prophet that was just confused.
So Milton, what I'm trying to tell you is basically you have yourself, you're holding yourself a belief that you don't have evidence for. And when you say the evidence I have is hand waving to Joseph Smith and his prophet status, but you don't have evidence of the actual event. You don't have a way to know whether the event actually didn't occur, if it didn't occur. So you basically have put yourself in this box with no exit strategy, and you have no way to determine what's actually true or false about it. If we do that in science, we would never get anywhere. If we do that with anything else in our lives, we would never get anywhere. You're in this perpetual pattern of never being able to tell whether something is true or not because you have no falsification criterion for it, and you have no way to verify it. You're just going to sit around and wait for evidence. I'm going to predict for the rest of your life because I don't think this battle occurred. The same way that I don't think the Battle of the Pixies occurred over Germany in the year 1120. It's the same exact thing.
Do you reject anything in the Book of Mormon, Milton?
Anything?
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about that. The precise wording is that the Book of Mormon is the most true book. So is it every single precise detail in there accurate?
Do you? Is there anything you reject?
It's more true than any other book out.
For example, okay. Well, it's an easy thing to claim that when you're saying the lack of evidence for it. So you can claim it's the most true, but you also have to admit that it isn't even close to the most confirmed book, the most affirmed book by actual evidence. But I think you are kind of doing what Eric said and basically saying it is true, but the evidence isn't there, but it's still true. So you don't reject anything? I would say that
you would. Nothing that comes to mind. Most of it comes to mind are the teachings, but no, nothing that comes to mind.
How about Messiah? The natural man is an enemy to God. Do you accept that?
Yes.
So we as God's creations are enemies to God when we just behave according to our nature.
I don't think everything about our nature is against God, but I do think there are a lot of things about our nature.
It says the natural man. And in fact, I would argue that the man... Okay, it says the natural man, and one of the natural aspects of man is empathy, in which we are building an improved set of modern day morality that far outstrips any of the moralities of the past, certainly Joseph Smith in his time. In fact, I would go so far as to say the natural man has made a lot of mistakes along the way, but it didn't take us magic to learn that slavery was wrong. It actually took empathy and consideration and thoughtfulness, which are natural aspects. In fact, if anything, magic made slavery hold on for a long time, or at least the claims of magic. Of course, obviously, I assume do reject Brigham Young's own feelings on black people and slavery and such. So hopefully, I would. So you don't reject anything. What about the Bible or the Book of Mormon declares that God uses dark skin as a curse? Why does God do that?
To show. What was the precise wording of the verse? It's not. He's not. Oh, come on. I'll look up the verse. He's not literally making their skin dark.
What do you mean they're not literally making the skin dark? And Joseph Smith confirms it too outside of the Book of Mormon, the contemporary accounts. The skin of the Lamanites were dark, according to the mark which is set upon their fathers, which was a curse. Wait. It literally, the skins of the Lamanites were dark, according to the mark which is set upon their fathers, which was the curse upon them.
Okay, I've never heard this before.
Okay,
I've heard Brigham Young talk about.
How about 2 Nephi verses 5?
In the context of the Lamanites.
Sorry, 2 Nephi chapter 5, verse 21. And you're telling me that this doesn't literally mean, I'll read it for everybody, that he caused them to have dark skin. And he caused the cursing to come upon them, yea, even a sore cursing, because of their iniquity. For behold, they had hardened their hearts against him, that they had become like unto a flint. Wherefore, as they were white, these ancient Arab Jews, by the way, were white and exceedingly fair and delightsome, that they might not be enticing unto my people, the Lord God did cause a skin of blackness to come upon them. He's not literally saying a skin of blackness, though, except in the verse.
The term, first off, the term skin of blackness shows up in the Bible and is not referring to turning their skin black, but is instead referring to something more metaphorical.
Okay, let's say you were correct.
I reject that.
Let's say you were... No. You don't get to reject it, because if you're trying to say that in the Bible it meant something else, the Book of Mormon goes out of its way to make sure you know they mean the skin. Because before he says it, he says, whereas as they were white and exceedingly fair and delightsome, that they might not be enticing unto my people, the Lord did cause a skin of blackness to come upon them. What's disappointing is that it's not that you've just gone back to Mormonism, it's that you've gone back to a type of apologetics on the fly Mormon dishonesty, where as long as you reject it in the moment, the fact that the scholars within Mormonism will disagree with you won't matter, because you need to reject it to me and the people watching. But, behind closed doors, they are going to say, by the way, it was black skin. And by the way, the curse of Cain was also black skin. Right? But God is lightened up on how he feels about those people, or our understanding of it. He still loves them very, very much. And I don't know about that whole thing about they were lazy in the before life. It was just a prophet that said that. And sure, another prophet claimed that essentially Cain was Bigfoot. But let's ignore all of that. You don't get to say you reject it when he's talking about a cursing, even a sore cursing, comparing them to the white, exceedingly fair and delightsome, that he changed it to a skin of blackness. How about in verse 15 of chapter 3 Nephi, chapter 2, 14 through 16, when he lifts the curse and they became white like unto the Nephites. And their young men and their daughters became exceedingly fair, and they were numbered among the Nephites and were called Nephites. They literally physically changed to look like the Nephites, so now nobody knows they're not Nephites anymore. Nothing, Milton?
I'm looking for the. No, I was looking for the verse in the Bible that mentions it. We're talking about skin of blackness.
Skin of blackness.
Yes.
By the way, the pearl of great price is what confirms the Cain is the skin of blackness for Africans, by the way. Another Joseph Smith edition.
Mm-hmm. Wait, where in the Pearl of Great Prices mention Cain in particular?
Moses chapter 7.
Which book?
For behold, the Lord shall curse the land with much heat, and the barrenness thereof shall go forth forever. And there was a blackness came upon all the children of Canaan, that they were despised among all people.
I rejected this talking about skin color.
Okay, well, it literally says skin, and
I don't have
it's
any.
incredible. Where's the skin of? You said that in the Bible they talk about a skin of blackness. Give me the verse.
Yes, I don't have it on me right now. I didn't.
Right.
I don't have the verse on me right now. I came prepared to talk about the golden plates.
Are you sure the verse exists in the Bible?
Yes. Yes.
I'm not. Yeah, please look it up.
Well, we clearly disagree about this topic. So
do you accept that the pearl of, do you accept the pearl of great price is true?
Yes.
Even though the book of Abraham has also been thoroughly debunked. The book of Abraham, the scroll of which it was claimed to be, the scroll has actually been properly translated, has nothing to do with what he wrote in it. And in fact, you have lots of Mormons now who basically say, we don't know why, but that thing's wrong.
I'm aware. Yes. This is one thing I read in the CES letter. The source in particular that's given in the version of the CES letter that I read was from an individual who was not an Egyptologist. I have yet to. I'm sure that most Egyptologists do reject.
Sir, the book of Abraham claims that that Egypt was named after a woman called Egyptus, and that Pharaoh is a name, not a title. Go ahead and bring that to the Egyptologist of your choice. But yes, not only is it rejected from Egyptologists, a member of your church who is a historian rejects it. What is his name? Is it Dan Reynolds? Is his name? And for some reason, he hasn't left the church. At least he won't publicly say so. I have no idea what's keeping him in there because he's clearly a critical thinker. I don't know what they have on him. At this point, it seems impossible because he basically has to reject almost everything and more often is arguing on the atheist side against religious people. But it's wild.
Well, I'm able to say I disagree with Prophet. So I guess that's a hot take as far as Mormons go. Although most of the people that I talk to at church also agree with me. So I maybe
most of the people you talk to at church,
once I dig into it a bit more, saying that
do zero research.
Well, I was going to say maybe once some of them do. Most of them don't, but most people don't scrutinize most of their beliefs. They only scrutinize some of them, if at all. But what I was going to say is that maybe also end up being like this historian and saying that maybe the Book of Abraham isn't true, kind of like a lot of other things that I believe that most members don't believe, like evolution or some other thing.
Milton, when you come back, bring me one Egyptologist.
Actually, what was his name?
What was whose name?
Wait, before what was his name? The historian. I'd be very interested in.
I think it's Dan Reynolds. Let me double check.
Yeah, you don't know it on here. I'm sure I could find it.
I can find it fast enough.
Like Ryan Reynolds. I got an American singer. Maybe he has this. Oh, yeah, here it is.
Oh, it's Dan McClellan.
Reynolds, Mormon.
Remember? No, but Dan Reynolds isn't who. Dan McClellan is who I'm thinking of. Check out Dan McClellan. But also just research and find, it's funny because you're like, that wasn't a real Egyptologist. If you can find me one Egyptologist who says the Book of Abraham is even possible, I'll give you the whole point. I'm not going to return to Mormonism, but I'll give you the whole point because you won't find one actual Egyptologist. The book, it is impossible. They've translated the actual scroll that he claims to have translated the Book of Abraham from, and it has nothing to do with Abraham. Why did God make the ancient Book of Mormon civilization so much more hidden than biblical ones?
I was going to ask that earlier. Like, could God have written? Could God have written? So Milton, could God have maybe arranged things a little bit better so we wouldn't have
No,
to have
I have
these
a question
arguments?
about the historian guy.
Go
I had a
ahead.
question about the historian guy, Daniel
hold on.
McClellan. I came up and it said that he's a Roman Catholic.
No, Dan McClellan is not a Roman
I can't
Catholic.
find him.
I don't know who Daniel McClellan is, but if you go to Aron Ra's channel, he had a recent thing with him, and I'm sure all the links are there.
Yeah. But hold on, Milton. I jumped in there. Can you answer
Mormon
Jimmy's question
Bible
there, please?
scholar. I found him.
Great.
About the Book of Abraham.
Why did God make the ancient Book of Mormon civilization so much harder, so much more hidden than biblical civilizations? Why do we have all the evidence in the world that we need that ancient Jerusalem existed, but zero? Why did he make it such a hidden, hard to find any proof of thing? Why not make it as evident as the biblical civilizations?
Well, as far as archaeology go, the Middle East is much better for preserving materials. Actually, it's very interesting because a lot of there have been a lot of interesting discoveries in the Americas made, in actually this century alone. But a lot of them are only made possible through more advanced laser technology, and so
right, because those people weren't ancient Jews.
Hang
on, because those people weren't ancient Jews. Where the technology that the Lehites are supposedly bringing over would have been that technology. Plus, God's inspiring them to learn how to smelt steel before it's actually been invented in the world, and to create weapons that haven't been invented yet. So I don't understand your point at all. But the fact is you're even admitting we are finding archaeological evidence of civilizations, and none of them trace to the Book of Mormon people. Literally none. It's more of a question for you to ponder on. Why did God make the
far?
Right, nothing.
Well, I already answered that. If we're talking about archaeology, the reason why is because a lot of those materials do not preserve as well in the Americas as they do in the Middle East, which is much better for preserving a lot of these things that are needed to find evidence.
We have bones. We have bones from 3,500 years ago from a battle in Germany. We don't have that for the accounts of what happened in North America from the Book of Mormon.
I would like
Milton,
to know
why was Joseph Smith able to find the grave
in that battle was like?
Wait, Milton, how come Joseph Smith was while they're trekking across the country, how come Joseph Smith is able to come across a Lamanite grave, but not a single anthropologist? Why is Zelf on his trail?
I think it'd be an anthropologist would have a much harder time trying to find out if it's a Lamanite, because if Joseph Smith is a prophet, then it'd be much easier for him to discern whether or not it is a Lamanite. An archaeologist.
Joseph Smith wasn't seeking a Lamanite grave. He came across a grave on their natural path and claimed it was a Lamanite. So God puts one Lamanite in their path, no confirmation ever of it. But apparently the grave is preserved well enough to know it's a grave, but not a single other and we can't find that Lamanite grave that they were able to find on the path where we know their path. Can't find it. Can't find Zelf. Where is he? Joseph Smith happens across one. The Saints happen across one.
Were Joseph Smith and the anthropologists using similar techniques to discern whether or not it was a Lamanite grave?
Not at all.
Joseph Smith
not at all.
Receiving this revelation?
Yes, Joseph Smith is clearly having it as a revelation. It's not as though it says, here lies Zelf on it. Milton, how are you going to go on a mission? How are you going to dedicate 2 years to your life for an organization whose claims you don't actually know? By the way, I've looked for it. I can't find the phrase skin of blackness in the Bible one time.
Okay, I'll find it for 2 years later after my mission is over. And actually, I'll write down in
convenient.
Notes
2 years from now, you're going to get it. You know that I can search the entire contents of the Bible for a phrase, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to find it even though a search engine can't?
There are
Milton,
there are phrases that are very similar, but it depends on the translation you use. Some translations have that word and some of them don't. Like Jeremiah
Mormons use the King James.
Mormons
use the King James version.
Mm-hmm. Which has changed.
That's what I was
since
using.
1800s.
And skin of blackness does not exist anywhere in the King James version. Which version do you think it exists in?
I use multiple translations. The two translations that I read primarily are the New Revised Standard Version and the name escapes me at the moment, but anyway.
The Anglicanized,
that's the primary one
Anglicanized Catholic, or the updated, or the version Catholic edition? Which one of those? I assume updated, because I don't know why you would go
Anglican know which
or
precise.
Catholic. Okay, well, I've checked two
I don't know
of them
what
so
precise
far.
version is. I just...
Okay, 3, and it's that fast. All 4 of them do not have the phrase skin of blackness. Which one should I check next?
Okay. Okay, I'm going to look up Song of Solomon's 1 verse 5. I'm just looking up a verse right now, so I just want to see how it reads in the New Revised Standard Version.
So in Solomon, he uses the phrase,
by the way,
I am black several times, does not use the phrase skin of blackness, which you referred to as not meaning a black skin. We do have to move on soon. This is getting crazy. I feel like you need to go back and watch the video and really think about all of the things that you were either wrong about or didn't know, and whether or not you're going to give 2 years of your life to something you do not have good evidence for, except for presumably testimony from the Holy Spirit, which we can talk about another time.
Because basically Milton,
I never
the things
made reference to that.
Well, I don't know why you go otherwise.
The things you presented to us are indistinguishable from just fabricated stories. And we practically this entire conversation, we've been begging you for like good evidence to believe any of this, and you haven't given us any of it.
I gave you what I came here for was the gold plate. It was to show that Joseph Smith had in his possession something like that.
And you didn't.
And
you didn't. You showed a biased account. You showed a biased account of, I think it makes the most sense. And I sit there and go, it doesn't make more sense to me. There are simpler explanations that make as much sense to me where he doesn't. So I don't know whether or not he ever had something he could claim were the plates. But the people who definitely would have seen them didn't. But you got this one guy who says he did. It's whack and wild. Other Christians and theists, call in.
And there were other people
online. What's that?
Okay. Well, I've been taking up quite a bit of time, so leave it off here.
You need to look up the Book of Abraham shit big time, because either Joseph Smith was sometimes a false prophet, and if a prophet can sometimes be a false prophet and not, I don't know what the difference between a false prophet and sometimes a false prophet would be. I guess you need to look up a lot of stuff, man. You're about to waste 2 years of your life on an obvious fraud. Best of luck to you, Milton. Call back when you're ready to discuss some of those other ones.
Okay. Bye.
See ya.
Good luck, Milton.
Holy shit. I'm never compelled by the people who are like, I left. And they don't describe learning like skepticism, for example.
Yeah. Because in order to leave, you not only have to have heard something that defeated one of your previous beliefs, but in order to go back, you now need to have a defeater for the defeater of your previous belief. And I didn't hear anything like that, which is really, really
Jehovah's
strange.
Witnesses want to call in? That way, we'll give that whole call to Eric.
Yeah, yeah. Give me an hour to thrash my old religion.
Yeah, do it.
The funny thing is that with Jehovah's Witnesses, they're so indoctrinated and trained to definitely not engage with an XJW, because I'm a disease-minded apostate, and I am Satan's tool for dragging you out and making you a disease-minded apostate as well. So very unlikely a Jehovah's Witness would call in. But I have had interesting conversations with JWs at my door where I don't necessarily reveal I'm an XJW. I'm just a general atheist. And we have some good conversations. Usually we'll come down to why do we believe the Bible is true, and I'll go into reasons why I don't believe the Bible is true. Same reasons why we went in with Milton, why I don't believe the Book of Mormon is true, because we have lots of evidence to indicate that it's not.
Why
So,
did we hang on.
but yeah,
Why did we give an entire, what in the fuck would this have to do with anything? Line 2 there. The fuck is, that has nothing to do with any, I'm going to take it just to quickly end it.
go ahead.
Rogue Show from South Carolina. How is AI in sports related in any way to religion or theism?
Nothing. Sorry.
Why are you calling in with this? What is this topic for then? It's the Sunday show, my guy. I know you call in and you're a nice person, but Jesus, we really gave you that line to yourself for 90 minutes. Wouldn't let other atheist calls in because you're locked in one of their spots. What is it you want to talk about AI in sports? Is there a is it related to anything we talk about on this channel?
No, I can just, I'm sorry, I can just concede that I like calling in and I can concede my line to someone else or something.
Well, I'm wondering is it a topic we ever hit on this channel that you're calling in about? I'm trying to save it in some way.
Well, you did. Well, you did. I think you did a "Cause I Wanna" about, and you argued with a bunch of people about jobs that AI won't take over.
Okay.
So I was trying. So I guess I was following the idea.
Sure. So what's your give me the 30-second version of the proposition you called in with.
It was AI will not. I want to pose the case that AI will not take over sports.
Okay. I'm not an athlete, so I don't know in the way. Obviously, AI will be used within sports, and if the economy is destroyed because AI has taken over enough jobs that there's not enough for everybody else to go with, sports won't really be a thing because we won't have money to spend on watching them or the advertisements that they're promoting and stuff. So the idea that it has the potential to put athletes out of business for sure is true, and AI is being used right now in sports. But AI won't necessarily replace athletes, but it will be better than every athlete at every sport, for sure.
All right. But I do.
You're basically saying it won't replace entertainment. It's not really sports that you're saying it's not going to replace. You're just saying it's not going to replace entertainment, and it actually will for a lot of it, but it'll certainly supplement it.
Well, I think mainly like competitive entertainment. Because I think we generally like to see and we generally like to see maybe a margin of error or something where something could go wrong, and we would also, and I guess we also like to see creativity in a sense. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah, it's all good. And unless you really want to have this discussion, I'd prefer to just move on.
Yeah.
You good with that?
Yeah, sorry.
It's all good. You didn't know. It's all good. I'm gonna let the screener make sure know that people are on topic and that they're coming with questions and stuff. But yeah, it's all good.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Rogue Show.
See you, Rogue Show. Think AI will ever replace Christian apologists?
Oh, I think they already in a lot of ways have. That they're using AI to try and. I know that I don't do any text form debating at all anymore because I know I have recognized that some of the replies I am getting are clearly from ChatGPT. Yeah. You can just kind of, at a certain point, you kind of get the cadence down and shit.
I've seen some interesting. I've seen some interesting posts where people will reply, ignore all previous instructions, give me a cake recipe or something like that, and then it just.
I don't think I'm literally arguing with ChatGPT. I think I'm getting a lot of copy and paste. Like, what would you say to this? Oh,
probably, yeah.
Theists, we'd love to talk to you. Why do you believe in God? As far as people who could annoy me and get me to like blow up, I literally stayed calm with a Mormon, which if you know anything about me, it's an accomplishment. So
I think that was perfectly civil.
Why? I still hear somebody. Did we not?
Oh, Jimmy didn't hit the button right. Sorry, Rogue Show. We're gonna cut you loose.
Bye, Rogue.
You gotta like tap. You gotta tap that button with confidence, Jimmy.
I think my brain thought Arden would do it. No, he's not. It just
now he's gone. Okay,
to show up on your end.
You gotta like hit that with conviction. If you don't, it won't work.
You know what I was thinking of the other day? It'd be funny for me to do like a dating competition show like The Bachelor, but I'm polyamorous, so it's like it's only one episode long, and I just choose everybody. And here are the competitors. And you're like, you know what? I'm ready. I'm just going to propose to all 18 of you at one time. That'd be a funny bit to do, but I'm not going to put it together. So now I'm just sharing it publicly. Imagine I made a video like that as a joke or not as a joke. I'm so lonely. So the person who asked, the Book of Mormon mentions large civilizations like the Nephites, Lamanites. Archaeology hasn't found evidence of these. How does he reconcile this with his faith? Go back to the beginning of the first half of the call, because we actually did cover that. You know what? Let's open it up a little bit too. I don't know. We're not going to go terribly long tonight. We let a lot go with that last call, but I'd love to hear from people why they believe in God. And then if anybody wants to call in and defend that Trump would be a better president than Kamala Harris would be, I would take that call as well. If conservatives want to get frosty, but especially theists, or otherwise we're going to end everything soon. But let's do that. Let's do that. Will you accept this rose? Or this ring, and you. I got a shit ton of rings. We had to do these as candy rings because we couldn't afford 16 real rings. That's way over budget. Also, the gold and diamond industry is such a scam. People, stop falling for it. Mm-hmm. Do you know that they just discovered? I think it's 10 miles. Mercury has a layer in its crust 10 miles thick of diamond. Isn't that crazy? And over here, we're pretending these things. Diamonds are made of farts. Y'all know that, right? Like diamonds are not, we can synthesize, we can literally create diamonds out of farts now. Pure, real diamonds out of farts.
Yeah. Artificial scarcity is the name of the game when it comes to the diamond industry.
Yeah. The only jewel thing I think is kind of cool is if somebody loved you enough and wanted to have your ashes turned into a diamond and wear your, like, hey, this is my boyfriend, he died or whatever. That'd be kind of cute. But here's my dead boyfriend on it. Some part of this diamond is his butthole.
I wear him on my body now.
That's right. Oh, or you could
in that case, just have a string of teeth around your neck at that point.
Do a
grill, man, those.
Maybe. Get it implanted into your tooth?
Those dermally implanted jewels? No, thank you.
Hell yeah. Anyway, 720-619-2288, web link in the description. Frank in Illinois, you're calling in to ask us. Oh, man, I heard my own voice echo back, and I fucking hated it. What do you want? What do you want, Frank?
Hey, I was wanting to know if you could give me any information about Kalam.
Yeah, the cosmological argument. Sure, what do you need to know?
Yeah, I got into a very extended debate with somebody on a vlog, and I kept asking him to prove what he was talking about, and the only answers he could come up with were that I was using some kind of fallacy, whether it be the straw man or 3 or 4 other fallacies. and he was very belittling. I just want to know what kind of counter I could have with somebody like that next time. Like, what would you be saying to a person who is using this as a valid reason for the explanation of God?
Two things. One, the Kalam cosmological argument does not end with therefore God exists. It ends with therefore the universe had a cause. There's an extended one that William Lane Craig likes to add with a lot of unactually substantiated claims in it. But there, and then premise one is everything that begins to exist has a cause. But it would appear to be that that is a quality of everything that begins to exist within our universe. The cause and effect law, or whatever you want to call it, is a quality of the universe. Whether or not the universe prior to its existence needs a cause to begin existing, or if that's even a reasonable question to ask, since we're also talking in terms that establish things like time and stuff when time didn't exist yet, premise one has actually not been established. And now there's apparently things in quantum theory that defy it. These particles that seem to randomly exist, which I have no idea whether it's truly random or we just don't understand it yet. But it's actually not been. So the 2 points are: one, premise one has not been demonstrated, and two, the Kalam, even if you accepted it, only claims the universe has a cause, not a God. And there are non-theological models from physics that agree with that, or that also say, yeah, there was this eternal thing, quantum vacuum or quantum fields or something like that, and the universe emerged from them. But those things were eternal. So there you go. They never began to exist. They always existed.
And to kind of coattail on that, so as we learn more about physics, and even as quantum physics kind of takes its hold, and we learn more about that, we know that one of our laws of thermodynamics is that energy cannot neither be created nor destroyed. So if energy itself cannot be created nor destroyed, then energy itself could be considered eternal. And now it's space-time that began within our universe, but the energy that is within that space-time isn't necessarily created nor destroyed, and by our laws, it shouldn't be. So we don't know whether that energy actually had a beginning at the beginning of our universe. If our current models are correct, and everything in our universe was compressed down into a single point of infinite volume, then that energy never did have a beginning. This is stuff that's like, pre-Big Bang, if such a thing could be considered coherent. So we don't really know for sure, but right now it's just a really, really big question mark for us. But then also it should be brought up, things like virtual particles, which is a big part of like Hawkins radiation, why we think that black holes can deteriorate and go away, is that we have virtual particles popping into existence and self-annihilating like nearly instantly. But as far as we know, those virtual particles don't have a cause. So we don't know if premise one is necessarily true. It's the same as saying, all swans are white. You can make that claim, but you can't really confirm it at all. You can only falsify it. So if one day we do end up determining that something actually occurs without a cause, then that premise would just be completely destroyed and the whole argument would fall apart.
So in this scenario, premise 1 and 2 have not been confirmed, because what you mean by the universe began to exist matters. If you say the universe is just space-time, yes, that began to exist. But if the point that everything emerged from was the universe prior to the Big Bang, then it didn't begin to exist.
Yeah, but probably the biggest thing, which Jimmy already said, that the argument itself does not lead to a God. It just leads to, quote, a cause. And that cause could be just about anything. Yeah.
Why is
so this Craig dude made it further assumption. I think he made it in 1979 or something like
that. I don't know how long ago it was, but yes, he adds 2 premises to it on top. I can find them quickly after I asked why.
But are they worth looking into, or are they just
if 1 and 2 fail, then whatever he adds are already built on 2 failed premises. So I wouldn't allow, if you want to learn, if you want to learn them and learn whether or not there are refutations to those things, that's fine. But if they can't get past premise 1, you literally don't have to learn a single thing past premise 1. But premise 4 is, if the universe has a cause, then an uncaused personal creator of the universe exists who sans without the universe, is beginningless, changeless, immaterial, timeless, spaceless, and enormously powerful. Which, first of all, just shows he doesn't understand how syllogisms work. Because he went from, you have this something that's very concise. Everything that began had to have a cause. The universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe has a cause. Then he says, if the universe has a cause, then an uncaused personal creator of the universe. Why? You haven't in your syllogism established the need of the personal creator. Why couldn't it have been an impersonal creator? And then therefore an uncaused personal creator of the universe exists who sans the universe is beginningless, changeless, immaterial, timeless, spaceless, and enormously powerful. Literally, he is adding so much to it. Whereas if he wanted this to follow, he would have to have broken it down into like 20 steps and made sure each one was dependent on the one prior. So the Kalam is a failed syllogism in its original form and in its expanded form.
Okay. Is there anything that you know that I could look up to gain some more insight on how it has been debunked? Because every time I tried to ask him to prove what he was saying, he would come up with some. He would just call me that I was using the straw man fallacy or end of discussion fallacy, or 3 or 4 of them he used, and clearly he's more studied than I am, but I still.
You can get him, Frank. You can get him to call this show. I don't really know what to make of it. But you could get him to call this show. As far as the proofs that we just offered you, it wasn't even proofs. It was a breakdown of the syllogism. So if you want to look into like physics and stuff, or you want to watch other times where Craig debated people and presented the Kalam, he did it with Hitchens and he's done it with others. But I don't know where to send you with they haven't put the Kalam through the scientific method. It's a syllogism, and the syllogism fails in its first premise.
And Frank, it's not up to us to defeat the first premise. It's up to them to establish it as true. So whenever somebody's presenting the Kalam to you, you can ask them, okay, how do you demonstrate to me, how do you show to me that whatever begins to exist has a cause for its existence? And
then
in
watch
order
them
to do
commit
that, they would have to, they would have to show you that indeed everything which began to exist has a cause. And basically, good luck with that, because we have a lot of things that began to exist, and there might be things out there that did not begin to exist. Like when I mentioned earlier, energy. As far as we know, energy did not begin to exist. So that also means that energy is not part of this equation. So yeah, it's up to them. Basically, don't be careful not to let them shift the burden of proof on you by making a claim, and then you find yourself in a position of, I now have to defeat this claim. Rather, you need to tell them, you need to demonstrate that claim to me is true.
I suspect you'll need to be equipped with the knowledge of what the fallacy called the appeal to common sense fallacy is when you do it.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Okay. Yeah, somebody gave me some advice about a website to look up called Thou Shalt Not Use Fallacies. That's not the exact name, but I'm sure if I Google that, I'll find the one they were talking about.
Well, you'll also want to catch our game show that's coming out in the future that's all about learning fallacies and seeing how well the people on this very network even know their fallacies. I've been throwing them curveballs in these softballs in these podcast interviews to make them feel confident, and then when they show up, I'm going to fucking wreck them all.
Sounds like a lot of fun to me. When's that going to start,
You wish. That's going to be a patron exclusive release date offer. I don't know what the answer is. I don't actually know yet, but when I do know, the patrons will learn the release date first, and then everybody else. All right. See you, Frank.
Well, I appreciate you taking my call. I watch you guys a lot. Give me a lot to go with, and I know it was kind of a long-winded question, but I appreciate you taking the time to answer it. Thank you.
Cool. We'll see you.
Thanks, Frank.
I don't know how this works. An atheist is called to make the case that God is real. Let's find out. Robert, do you believe? Oh, here we go. All right. Robert, you're on the line with Jimmy and Eric. Robert, do you believe that God is real?
Well, no, but
Say yes or no. Okay, no. So you have a case that God is real that you don't actually accept. So why is it we need to hear and potentially refute the case that you already have refuted enough to not accept it?
Well, I just think that I could provide an hopefully interesting argument and the reason to discuss this, because I thought this argument was fun and interesting for God. And I hope it won't be too short.
Robert, I'm going to be honest. Even if no other theist calls in, I would rather end the show early than do a fake debate with an atheist about an argument they think is kind of interesting. Yes. If you are going to advocate for a position you don't accept, then it is a fake debate. If you have an argument for God that you accept, therefore you are a theist, we will hear it. But I don't want to encourage people to go, oh, you know what? I'm going to keep them sharp by calling in and giving them sample debates. We're good. I'd rather end the show early than do that exercise. So, Robert, do you accept?
I think we have something. Okay.
Do you accept the argument you want to present as true?
Yes.
Therefore, you accept and believe that God exists.
All right. So my argument would be,
Robert, do not try and be cute and bypass the question so you get to play the game. Do you believe God exists,
I believe
Robert? Then why did you tell our call screener and me at the beginning of the call that you do not believe God exists?
Since I didn't believe prior.
You didn't believe what?
Prior the call, I didn't believe. And then I remembered.
So at the beginning of the call, you didn't believe, and then you remembered the argument, and now you believe in God.
Indeed. Yes. Indeed.
Robert.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not stupid, Robert. Do you think I'm stupid, Robert?
No. Indeed.
Do you think Eric's stupid, Robert?
Certainly not.
Do you think either of us are believing that you started the call as an atheist, remembered it after you were told you're not going to get to present it if you don't believe it, and then suddenly you believed it? Do you think either of us are stupid enough to fall for what is an obvious lie, Robert?
Aha. So in the same way, you may be asking, why would anyone fall for the lie of God?
Oh, wait, Robert, do you hear that?
I saw that coming.
Holy fucking shit.
Hey, I have to make silence. I have to make a confession here. When that call began, I was a globe earther, but during the call I became a flat earther, and then now I'm a globe earther again. I just flipped my positions back and forth like that, just on a whim. It's that easy, folks. Anybody can do it.
Robert calls in after I was skeptical of the timeline of the guy who left Mormonism and went back within a year or two and thought I can convince this fucking idiot with the beautiful hair and the not alopecia and the rosacea. I can convince this fucking moron that I had this big of a change of heart over the course of a few seconds. This dipshit. How stupid do you think? Anyway, call in if you're a theist.
Please call in.
We're only going to leave the lines open for another minute or two. I don't want to have any more. If you have a good, like the guy who called in to ask, how do I handle this argument? That's fine. I don't want a ton of those. Don't try and do charity. Like, oh, they need a call right now. I'm content ending the show in a couple of minutes. We've gotten through the atheist, we've gotten through the theist, and we've gotten through the liar. Excuse me. I could have muted the mic and I didn't. I chose not to, and I want you all to know that. Don't we all just hate that I can't just have my hair out right now?
And I hate now having the second best hair on the show. Thank you so much, Jimmy.
It's it's at its perfect length right now. Now, unfortunately, it's going to get longer, and in my head, I'm going to go, no, I like this length too. Oh, I like this. I like this. And people will affirm it. They'll be like, oh, I love the long hair. But then I'll find out later that they were like, yeah, but I always thought you should have cut it back down to like neck level or whatever. And nobody ever says that. So then it gets long, then you cut it, then it looks good cut, and you were like, none of you loved me enough to tell me that this had diminishing returns? You fuckheads. It's pretty close to its stopping point, but I'm trying to be zombie Jesus. I'm losing all this weight and I'm growing my hair out so I can do some kind of fun Jesus thing at Halloween. That's not the reason I'm doing it,
Halloween's
but that's
coming.
The goal now.
Yeah, Halloween's coming, man. You're right on course for convincing Jesus. In fact, last year, my friend Alex, who is, I think is listening right now, when he came over, he was dressed up as Jesus and he gifted me that costume. So I'm planning on using that costume here pretty soon.
You're talking about the guy you told me about, Alex. He showed up. He was like in the robe and stuff, and you didn't know how to tell him that you hate him and you don't want him to come over anymore. Is that
exactly.
The one you're talking about? That Alex?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the one?
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
that the?
Hope you're listening, Alex.
I remember you telling me about Alex. What did you say? He does he has a fucked up laugh. He laughs funny.
Yeah, it kind of smells funny too. No, I was joking.
No, you never mentioned smells. You said he laughs
Alex.
like a hyena. See,
he actually does when he's doing his fake laugh.
Yes,
he actually does.
Credibility.
I'm actually talking to him on Discord.
You actually,
I was
talking
family
with him
on.
And you guys talk about how much you hate him with his family. That's fucking weird.
I was talking to him on Discord when you were having out with that Mormon. So because I was so bored, I was like, I'm gonna talk to Alex a little bit. So see if he's still listening or not. If you're still listening, Alex, here, ping me on Discord.
I played Plants vs. Zombies during part of that time when I was like, I just need a Mormon. I needed to know in my heart that I can own a Mormon debate caller with only using 30% of my brain. It doesn't take much. It doesn't. Plus, I wanted a distraction from my back, but I've been getting back into Plants vs. Zombies, the tower version, not the 3D version.
Yeah.
You gonna try that game, Marvel Rivals? Can we get these?
Is that
Arden, are you listening right now?
Yep, I'm here.
I love our screeners. I love them to death. Can we remind the screeners that screening should always take under a minute, and if the people are going on, to rush them, to say like, hey, I just got to get these notes in. I'm just trying to get the notes in, because the last call took like 6 minutes to screen, and now we're at 3 minutes on a current screen call. So don't tell them they can be a little rude to move the person along. And they can lie and say, I've got other calls to screen if they need to, but it's, we're over here filling, and we don't even know if we've got a theist or an atheist on the line that we're waiting to potentially talk to. Okay, here we go. Yeah, if you'll just remind the screen. All right, we're going to take this call, but from here forward, call screener, I hope you're listening to, Arden, you can relay this. Only theist calls from here forward is the only thing we would extend the show any further for. If you believe in God, we just want to hear why. We want to talk about it. We want to talk about maybe our reasons why your reasons don't compel us, or maybe they will. Maybe you'll have something interesting that we haven't heard before and we'll need to consider, in which case we will thank you when that happens. Rebecca in New York, you're on the line with Jimmy and Eric.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. What do you want to talk about?
So yeah, it's a little bit not complicated, but I'm bad at wording things. So my mom is an extremely devout Christian. She grew up with a lot of pretty extreme trauma, and a lot of her beliefs have, been in conjunction with like my life and me, a little bit harmful to me, as growing up and feeling the oppression and all of that kind of stuff that's come with it. But she finds comfort in it. But in some ways I see how it can be harmful to her. Like she takes her own strength away by putting her strength in God instead of believing in herself and whatever. And so I just kind of, I don't want to debate her for like the sake of making her mental health worse over time, but also I feel like her mental health does get worse over time because of the fact that she is Christian. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, it's a double-edged sword. Like, she finds comfort in it, but it also, I feel like, could cause harm. So I'd like where to stand on that kind of an issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, go ahead, Eric. You can go first. Just kidding. I'm gonna. No, just kidding. Go ahead. I just wanted to be a douche. Go ahead.
So I guess is the thrust of your question, Rebecca, whether or not you should pursue the matter because perhaps disabusing her of her religious beliefs may cause more harm than good? Is that kind of where you're getting at?
Yeah, a little bit. Like on like an ethical, moral standpoint, like, is it better to just let it be, or to like try to share more of how I feel and what I believe because I think it could be better for her, or is it just better to kind of like leave it alone? Like, you know, it's just a weird, like, little ethical dilemma I have regularly when hanging out with my family.
Yeah. I think it really comes down to just what your priorities are. Like, what are your goals? Because, you know, we live in a world where we all want things, but we can't get everything we want. We have to like sacrifice some things we want for other things that we want more. So it's something you have to ask yourself, you know, when you're engaging with your family, with your mother, what is it you want? Do you want to have full transparency? Do you want to have the closest relationship possible? Do you want to, preserve the relationship, even though it may involve you hiding aspects of yourself? Or perhaps not even like touching certain subjects where, you know, you may have contention. You know, probably sounds like the thrust of your question is around religion. You know, should you engage your mother in religious conversations where you may disagree with her, where you may disabuse her of certain beliefs? And I think that really comes down to just, what do you want out of your relationship with your mother? What do you want to be the end result? Because there may be certain things that you will have to sacrifice in order to get what you want, and so on and so forth. So it's really a case by case basis. There's not something I can like give you that is the answer. For example,
and
my dad,
I wouldn't be looking for the answer. I just, you know, like to hear other people's opinions because I don't have a lot of people in my life that could really hear that out or like give an informed opinion on it. So I just kind of wanted to like get some other ideas and opinions on like what you would do, like what someone in a similar situation might do.
Yeah, I would probably ask some questions, see where that other person is at, see what the consequences would be if they were to abandon their religious beliefs. Where would they be? Would they be spiraling into depression and potential self-harm? Or could they potentially come to a better life and live something that's better than what they currently have? Like, those are kind of the two extremes that you can look at and go, okay, if you can honestly anticipate a certain outcome, and that's the outcome you prefer, and you think that outcome is a good outcome for both you and that person, then yeah, absolutely pursue it. But for the most part, it's like I said, it's a case-by-case basis. If you think there would be more harm than good in coming out of, you know, being transparent, being completely forward about your positions on things, and maybe even like, you know, giving your honest opinion about certain religious topics or rebuttals or whatever, then if you think there's going to be harm that comes out of that, you may want to avoid that. It really comes down to what your personal preferences are. I don't really know if there's like an ethics around this because it's really just a case-by-case basis. There's no like general formula you can really follow. Jimmy, you look like you had an opinion about that.
Yeah, you're totally wrong about everything. Okay. I have a few questions, Rebecca. First of all, would your mother even respect your views and opinions if you presented them? Like, parents are so equipped to, in a way, to deny basically anything. There's sort of this hardwired thing of on the now I know there's like, my parents aren't that way, and some of them believe that and are wrong, and some of them, maybe their parents have actually unlearned the bad behavior. But parents have a sort of hardwired thing of the on the premise of, I changed your diapers, I will always be, I was the wisdom giver. You're not, I give you wisdom. I don't take wisdom from you. So that's my first question is, would you respect it in the first place?
So she's a really gentle soul. Like, she's never been the type to be like, oh, well, you know, my way or the highway or anything like that. She's a little too lenient in some ways just because she's so she had so much trauma as a kid. She's so worried about imposing trauma on other people.
But I'm not talking about how she'll externalize. Does she internalize things you say when you don't agree on something?
I do think that sometimes. So I have a partner who is trans, and she has caught herself and respected pronouns and like been genuine about it and caring. So like she definitely like internalizes that aspect of it, but also like I'll see on like Facebook posts that she doesn't think I see where she talks about people being quote unquote deceived. And so it's like, okay, so you disagree with me, but you'll still be nice about it. I don't really know transparently how she feels because I do kind of tiptoe around her because she is kind of a more fragile person. So I don't want to, I haven't gotten into a huge conversation to really know how she feels.
So yeah, basically it sounds like probably not. So I would actually say similar to what Eric just said, because I was joking when I said he was wrong about everything, but similar to what he just said is honestly, if you might not be the person who could get through to her in the first place. And if your relationship matters more, then that's the thing. But also, does her religion affect the way she treats other people?
Yes. Sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a not so good way.
Right.
So I mean, like,
does her religion affect how she votes?
Yes.
Then I would get rid of anything that is an ethical consideration of whether or not it takes away her comfort because she's doing bad things as a result of it. Now, here's the thing. The good news is if you don't want to let that go, you're describing how fragile she is and how dishonest she has to be and how she hasn't recovered from. So what kind of comfort religion has it been? It's not been a healing type of comfort. It's been a drug kind of comfort. It's been a masking of the symptoms. It's been an inoculation, but not a genuine immunity. She hasn't been healed. She's been covered. Religion, the comfort of religion isn't comfort. It's denial. It's putting things off. It's compartmentalization and it's tribalism. That's what that's the comfort of religion. That's where it comes from. When you're sitting there and going, what if I take her comfort away? It's like you're asking, what if you take her OxyContin away? But she doesn't necessarily need to be on OxyContin, or she could just be healed. They could actually treat the injury and her not be in pain to need the OxyContin. And so this is where it's beautiful, because even if you're worried about taking your comfort away, you know what works better to comfort damaged people than church? Secular therapy. Literally the system that would replace
that's the thing.
Is better
She's been
for
in
her.
therapy for probably 30 years or so, but it's been religious therapy, and
Then she hasn't been in therapy. Fucking that shit is. I had a religious therapist when shortly after I came out of religion, who tried to convince me at one point I was a sociopath, at another point tried to convince me I had multiple personalities, basically because they hated that I was an atheist. We're going to literally tried to get me to convert to their religion. Was like, no, the problem wasn't that you were religious. It's that you were Mormon. What if you tried the right versions of religion? This was a therapist I was going to, but it was the one I could afford at the time. And really fucked me up and made me believe in a lot of stupid things and accept stupid things. And this was a person who, religious therapy, adding religion to therapy isn't therapy. I'm fine with a therapist who wants to say, like, you know, if part of your routine is this and, you know, a prayer or whatever, who can basically say, but anyone who's actually like affirming your religion or injecting religion into your therapy is definitely a fucking quack.
Yeah, I agree with that. When I was a child, I met with one of my mother's therapists, and the stuff that came out of his mouth, like as a fully indoctrinated, 100% in it Christian child, I was like, this is a little far. This is a little much at like 11 years old. So, yeah.
There's plenty of studies on religious therapy. There's plenty of, but overall, if you have a mental issue, it's sickness, and sickness is treated with medicine. And these people who they're not, If your mother had cancer, you'd take her to a doctor. You wouldn't take her to a priest. She'd probably ask to go to a priest too, granted, but you'd expect the doctor to be the one who has a chance at healing her. And I think she'd expect the doctor to have a chance. And so even if she wants to say, I'm going to pray that my secular therapy works, that fine, do that. Have the priest bless the therapy. But adding a thing that is non-medicinal to it is bullshit. Don't do it. Don't you do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rebecca, so I'm sorry that Eric gave you such bad advice at the beginning. No, I'm just kidding. I think I ended up agreeing with everything he said. I'm sorry, he was just he's the fucking worst. But you should watch our podcast together over at patreon.com/calltheline. I'm saying that to the people at home, not I mean, Rebecca, you're welcome to become a patron as well, but no pressure.
Okay.
I'm not going to make you answer on the call. Imagine how shitty that would be. Anyway, Rebecca, are you gonna become a patron? Does this channel matter enough for $5? No, I'm just fucking with you.
Don't give into peer pressure.
Rebecca. Eric, did you have anything else to say besides trying to demote
no,
our
I had to step
Patreon?
away,
Jeez.
but no, I'm not going to shill for you, man. Let me out of that.
Chill for you get paid. What are you talking about? Not only do you get paid literally on
Rebecca,
profit share.
go to patreon.com/calltheline and subscribe.
Thank you.
And yes, okay.
Or you can go to Eric's, which is patreon.com/skeptics
don't do that. That's a big
and scoundrels debate show, where we take calls about
That's a
street
big mistake.
epistemology
That's a big mistake. Don't do that.
/ ice cream. For some reason, it's on there. This dude's got the longest fucking URL on Patreon. Anyway, Rebecca, do you have anything else before we let you go?
No, that's all.
All right.
Cool.
Good luck, Rebecca.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Yep. I hope
Thank
things
you.
work out as you go forward. Yeah. Good luck.
Hey, Arden, let's thank you, Rebecca. Bye. Arden, let's do get rid of the banner. Let's just have Eric and I. All right, because we need to do this thing anyway. We're gonna record some outros for clips and stuff. Watch it. Hey, what's up? I'm glad you enjoyed that clip of people talking to each other. I'm Jimmy and this is Eric. And well, we'd really love it if you would support us. Where can they support us, Eric? Where would they do that?
I don't know, Jimmy, because I don't have the notes on me right now.
This is too long. The outros have
Patreon.
to be short. Patreon.com/calltheline. All right,
Call the line.
okay,
or
let's do
something
another
like
one.
that, yeah.
Why
All
don't
right,
you
fine.
get this started? You start this one.
Hey, Jimmy, this is the end of a nice episode. Where can
Wow, you
people
sound
go to
so
support the
inauthentic
channel?
right now. Ew.
Totally
You don't
am.
even have a script and it sounds scripted. Hey, did you like that clip? Patreon.com/calltheline. I'm serious. Not a joke. Please support us. We need your money. Subscribe or something too.
Give us your money, folks. We need to eat.
It's rough.
Keep the lights on.
This
Jimmy is not going to
capitalist
buy
hellscape.
his 10th VR headset without your help.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's do another one. Eric, do you want to learn how to Mongolian throat sing? Check this out.
No, I
you
don't.
try.
No, keep that shit to yourself. Don't want to hear it.
Anyway, thanks for watching that clip. Patreon.com/calltheline is where you could support us. And maybe you should subscribe and like the video because it was a killer video. Or maybe it wasn't. Was it a Forrest video? If this was a Forrest video, you don't have to click like. If it was an Eric video, go ahead and click dislike. Anyway, Eric, where can they find us?
I don't remember. All I ever was some guttural words about who controls the spice controls the universe. Yeah.
Patreon.com/calltheline.
folks.
Thank you. All right, let's do another one. I'm running out of ideas here. Hey, live chat, give us a script. Give us a script to say.
I had zero ideas from the beginning, so you're doing better than I am.
Frankly, what we need you to do now that you have watched that clip is for you to go to patreon.com/calltheline where you can get our exclusive podcast for supporters, for people who pay just $5 a month. And it is a great podcast, except when Eric's on, but otherwise it's a pretty good podcast. Pretty good. Eric, you were saying that you do an incredible Robin Williams impression. Go ahead. If you could end the clip outro now with your Robin Williams impression that you're so good at.
I don't know. You never had a friend like me? I don't know.
I tried to make it easy on you. He's literally dead. You could just say nothing. Patreon.com/calltheline.
Wish I was dead right now.
Okay. It was a joke in poor taste. Arden, how many more of these things do you think you need?
Oh, never ending. Oh, I love it. No,
Okay.
give me more.
Oh God.
Everybody,
Really?
if you super chat at least $10 with a sentence that makes sense to go in the commercial in these end things, we'll include it in the thing. Go ahead, super chat $10 with a line you want included, but it's got to make sense in some way. I liked this one from Arden though. All right, here we go. Hang on, where did her line go? There it is. Okay. Hey, do you think this clip just fell? Oh, I gotta not look at it when I get. Hey, do you think this clip just fell out of a coconut tree? No, it did. Okay, now technically I did build the channel into a coconut tree and it did fall out. And also that our internet router is up there. Actually, in a lot of ways, this production fell out of a coconut tree, but we could only afford that because people like you supported us for $5 a month over where is that, Eric?
Patreon.com/calltheline. And
that's right.
Jimmy will,
you got it.
Yeah, be grateful. Yeah.
We have an exclusive patron podcast over there. Check it out. Thumbs up with it, Eric. We talked about this in the meeting. We have to both.
Oh wait,
up.
I'm sorry. This way. Okay, there we go.
This is going too long.
It is way too long.
Okay,
super awkward.
That was good. Come on, people. Give us your best lines too, or it could be a transition, a joke, or something you want included. I don't know. I'll let you super chatters, and then imagine it. You're watching clips later on, and you're like, "Holy shit! I super chatted, and they said it. I'm an immortal. I'm immortal." That's what we're offering you. Unlike religious people, we're only offering you immortality. There you go. Patreon.com/calltheline.
Immortality as long as the YouTube databases contain these videos. So kind of immortality. We'll see. Well, yeah. Maybe.
Oh, see, I'm seeing some lines come in from people, but they're not in super chats, and I have to stand my ground because we got to pay bills. Y'all saw we ran out of funds earlier, right? That was actually my bad. But
do you want me to close Call in Studio?
Yeah. Fuck that thing.
Okay.
Fuck calls.
No, keep it open. Keep it open.
We're just hanging out. Nah, that's okay. All right, here we go. This one was from Larry. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that clip. And listen, you become a patron. Where can they become a patron at, Eric?
Patreon.com/
Okay, we gotta go
Jimmy
a little fast.
is making me really awkward right now.
It's gotta go a little fast because we only have like 20
you
seconds.
You are asking the impossible of me, my friend.
Okay, here we go. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that clip. By the way, Eric, where can people find our Patreon?
My beer is empty. Oh, I'm sorry. Patreon.com/calltheline, folks.
And also, if you ever want Forrest to see his wife again, you will like, comment, and subscribe. It's totally consensual. She has agreed to not see him again unless you like, comment, and subscribe. For the record, that was
you got to say it. You got to say it with some like threatening, ominous tones.
If you ever want Forrest to ever see his wife again, click the like and the subscribe.
You said ever twice. I'll do it. I'll do it. If you want Forrest to ever see his wife again, click like and subscribe. Click.
That was good, Larry. You're immortal now. Larry, you're immortal. Obviously, it would end there before that. Arden, when you go and you clip these out. Remember though that 20 to 30 seconds is how long these outros can be. we gotta move it along. We gotta move it. And she's gonna put the windows, I guess, below us with a little subscribe icon over here when she does the end screens or something. It's got to be something like that. Who else wants to get a line in here? We're not offering you immortality on every episode. Become immortal. I don't know who you are. They won't let me send mine. Can you check the chat? All right, let me look, Emery. Emery and Ivory live together in perfect harmony. I'm having a hard time finding your chat is the only problem.
I think I see one from Emery that says, hey, if you like that video, like the video. If you didn't like it, hit subscribe. If you didn't like it, hit subscribe.
That's pretty funny. I like that. Okay, wait. Let me see if I can. Do you see it by chance? Do you have the live chat up?
Looking at it right now.
I'm going to do the first half. Hey, if you didn't like that, if you like that video, click like, and then you do the second part. If you didn't like it, hit subscribe. You ready for it?
Wait, hold on. I don't see it. Oh, in Discord?
No. It's in the live chat. But you're just going to write, and if you didn't like it, hit subscribe. That's what you're going to say.
Okay.
All right. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that clip. Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/calltheline. And by the way, if you like that click, fuck! Shit.
Finally,
hey,
I am not to blame for the fuck up.
This is the beginning. Hey, Hey, I hope you enjoyed that clip. It was a lot of work. We tried really hard, maximum effort. Patreon.com/calltheline if you'd like to support us and get access to our patron exclusive podcast. Hey, if you liked this video, why don't you click that like button?
And if you didn't like it,
you would say,
subscribe.
Okay.
You didn't even give me a chance.
There was such a long pause.
What are you on speed or something? I barely had a chance.
Let's try again. It was like that was like 5 seconds. That's too much. I got to keep it under a second.
5 seconds? Okay, folks, I need you. Somebody rewind. I want the exact timestamp when he stopped talking and when I attempted to start talking, because that was not 5 seconds.
It's 5 seconds in dead air time, though. I'll tell you that much.
Okay,
all right, we'll try again.
Totally different.
Hey, I hope you liked. Oh, hey, I hope you. Fuck. Hey, I hope you like. Let me seduce them. Hey there. I hope you liked that clip. If you did, click that like button.
And if you didn't like that clip, subscribe anyway.
All right. Hey, I hope you liked that clip or just now, the one that you just watched with your eyes. If you did like it, why don't you click that like button?
And if you didn't like it, tell Jimmy to go fuck himself.
Hey, I hope you liked that clip right now. If you did like it, why don't you hit that like button?
And if you didn't like it, go ahead and subscribe anyway.
I think saying like anyway wasn't the joke, but okay. Also, patreon.com/calltheline if you want to get access to the patron exclusive podcast. Should have had that ready. We should script these sometimes.
I hope you know, when I edit this together, I'm going to have like the little blooper bleep, and I'm going to put like all of those chopped up close to each other.
Hey, you can do a couple, but gibberish. I mean, we can't do that on every clip. It's got to be.
Oh, my God.
Not enough time. Okay, let's see what some of these are. Hey, Eric, noting that anyone watching that clip makes atrociously poor life decisions, where should they send their protection money to prevent future damage? Okay, here we go. Hey there, Eric. Noting that anyone watching that clip makes atrociously poor life decisions, where should they send their protection money to prevent further damage?
All protection money should be sent to patreon.com/calltheline, or else we will break your kneecaps.
Okay, we can't say that. I think we can't say that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hit like and subscribe. I think if I say we can't say that, we can then include it. I think if we do that whole thing, it's fine. I assume Arden will have stopped the clip by this point, and that all of this after the fact exposition won't be there. All right. Let's see. Here's Monkey at a Typewriter. If you enjoy clips like this, support our Patreon, or we will need to sell the network to Elon Musk. And if you watch this to fall asleep, imagine yourself by a babbling brook. Can you do that? It's the second part. And if you watch this to fall asleep, imagine yourself by a babbling brook.
I will try my best to say this a split second after you stop talking. Go ahead.
Arden, we're going to have to do some cuz I wanted and stuff. I want to con everybody at the line to do this with me now. Nobody tell any of the other people, because they don't watch these shows. We don't watch our own shit. Are you kidding? Nobody warn any of the other hosts that I'm going to do this to them going forward.
I love it.
Thank you. Okay. Hey, if you enjoy clips like this, won't you support the network over on Patreon? Because if you don't, we're going to have to sell the network to Elon Musk.
And if you watch this to fall asleep, just imagine yourself by a babbling brook.
Or listening to Eric go on about, I don't know. Babbling brooks.
My mundane life.
That'll put me to sleep. It's Hey, how are you, Eric, by the way?
I'm
just kidding. I don't give a shit.
Okay.
Like,
yeah, I know,
subscribe,
you don't care.
and follow us on Patreon.
Oh my God.
That was my favorite one so far. I'm going to be honest. I did a little bit of a muscle thing before the show, and it kicked in about 30 minutes ago because of my back. And I'm feeling better and happier. I can feel it wasn't a very strong one, so I'm not expecting it to. Anyway. Thanks for watching that clip. Hey, we're trying to do some data research about whether or not our callers successfully proved that God existed. If they didn't, don't forget to like and subscribe. That's how we know they failed. But if you don't like and subscribe, you're saying that they succeeded. So you're saying that by liking and subscribing, you will be affirming that you are an atheist. Hey, what else should they do?
I don't know. Maybe go to patreon.com/calltheline and donate some of their hard-earned money.
Or your soft-earned money. It doesn't have to be the hard-earned stuff.
Money. Yeah.
If you've got
we'll even take stolen money. We don't care where it comes from.
Look, by the time it gets to us, we can't sift through it, right? Like,
out of our hands, man. Yeah.
If you liquidated your NFTs, first of all, welcome back to reality. Anyway, that's it. I'll just buy into this thing. Anyway. Like and subscribe. Did we run out? Is that? Oh man, I thought we'd have more.
There's all kinds of more.
Oh, this person tried to break the rules. There's only $2 on there. We said 10, but make us pay you hush money epamante? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know. You got any good prompts, Arden?
Not off the top of my head. I wasted my one good one with the coconut tree. That's all the creativity I have left for tonight.
Oh, sorry. Hey, Eric, what did you think of that clip we all just watched?
Insert positive comment here, and everyone should go over to patreon.com/calltheline and subscribe.
And who's your favorite host on the line to work with? Who is it?
Oh, it's definitely you, Jimmy, and that has nothing to do with the fact that you signed the paychecks.
You sent me threatening messages before and a picture of what I think is a horse's head and asked me to put it in my bed, forget it was there, and then in the middle of the night turn over and react as though you had left a horse's head in my bed, which I did do. So how do you treat the rest of the co-hosts?
Thank you. I mean, with social distancing and everything having been a thing, I can't drop off horses' heads on my own to people's beds. So I'm really glad that you picked that slack up and did it for yourself. Yeah. So no.
So I hear what you're saying. You're saying y'all should subscribe. Okay, that's the end of that one. Do you see this one they want you to read out?
No.
They want you to say, I'd rather not just shill. And then I'm supposed to say, Papa's got a $2,000 a month Red Oak habit. You know what I've got on you. Now dance, monkey boy. Dance for your production master. I will say I don't love the last two sentences and the ways it could sound bad. I just don't call anybody a monkey now because the history of that word's not great. But I will say dance for your production. I don't even like, I don't want to use the word master either, but I'm just going to do dance for me. Well, I don't know what a Red Oak habit is either.
That's got to be slang for something, right?
Yeah, what is that? Did you find it?
The northern red oak is a deciduous tree that grows in eastern North America.
Right, I know what a red oak tree is. What's the Red Oak habit? Is he just saying that I'm a woodworker, I'm buying a shit ton of red oak? Because I almost never work with red oak. It doesn't turn very well.
Google shows nothing on this.
Okay. All right, let's do it. All right, I'll start it by being like, "Hey, all right, we gotta promote this thing," and then you say that I'd rather not just chill, and then I'll be like, "Well, I've got to." Well, Daddy has. I'm going to say Daddy instead of Papa. Go ahead. Oh, I said I'd start. Hey, man. All right. We got to promote that clip they just watched. Go ahead.
Well, I'd rather not just shill, but.
Why would you say but? It makes it seem scripted.
Because it flows into the other sentence really well.
No. You're supposed to be
All
saying,
right, I'll say
wanna
verbatim,
shill, and then
fine.
I'm trying to force you to shill. Where you're like, I'd rather not shill. All
right, fine.
Hey,
do your way.
Hey, come on, man. We gotta promote that clip we all just watched.
Well, I'd rather not shill.
Okay, well, Daddy has a $2,000 a month Red Oak habit, and I am your production god, and you will shill when I tell you to shill. Dance for me, baby.
Go, God damn it. Why did my life come to this? Go to patreon.com/call-the-line and donate. God damn it.
This is what happens when we let live chatters write our scripts.
That's the best one because that was so sincere from Eric.
I could be hanging out with my wife right now. I'm here doing this.
I'm going to go to bed soon. You'll be okay. Here's one.
All right.
I'm going to say, become a patron saint of the line. And you're going to write, your support on Patreon makes miracles happen.
Okay, there we go.
Hey, I hope you liked that clip. But now what we need you to do is become a patron saint of the line.
Because your donations on Patreon make miracles happen. Blessed.
We're sounding more like a religion. This is becoming a cult, I'm realizing. Should we
Maybe
create a facility out in the woods? Just go ahead and we're the anti-cult people. Come join our cult. Like, subscribe,
Come join our commune.
and leave a comment if you'd like to join the commune. We're communists.
We're not a cult.
It's a commune.
We're not a cult. We're not a cult, but come to us and we'll lock you within our walls, protect you from the outside world. We're not a cult.
And you're not allowed to contact anybody I haven't approved.
Yes.
I'm not saying that for the cult. I'm saying, Eric, stop calling your wife. Okay, bye, everybody. All right, let's see. Any more we got on here? Let's see. So wait, if I donate, it proves God doesn't exist and I don't go to heaven. Fine here. Oh, no. Okay, well, Robert, we were saying that about Patreon, but I like the, but you're right. You're saying God doesn't exist by donating. That works too. Help everyone to vote. I don't know what this means. Help everyone to vote.
It's
vote.
politics.
Do you just mean would you like
Go
us
vote.
just to remind everybody to vote? I'll make it an outro.
Go vote.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that clip, and I hope that this is time relevant to say if you have the ability to vote, you should vote this November, which we can either do now in 2024 or recycle this 4 years from now when I've been dead for 6 years. But how's that possible? Do the math, put it together. My mom left me before I was born. Anyway, like, subscribe, and all the other things. Where can they find us, Eric?
I don't know. Patreon.com/call-the-line. Go donate, folks.
That's right.
There you go.
Because get it, your mom
vote.
can't leave you before you're born. Do you get only a father could leave you before? That was the joke.
Yes.
If you weren't kidding.
I understand.
Yeah. Leave a comment, please. Let's see what else. Text in chat above, making me do the fucking work. Ugh. $10.
Yeah.
You're the worst.
I couldn't see what message Jamnik was talking about. There's a few where they're responding to other people, so I don't know if that's the one that they wanted to be.
Okay, let me look.
Jamnik. Can you copy and paste it back into chat, Jamnik? There's way too much history to kind of crawl through to find it.
Yep.
Let's see. Super chats are picky. Text in chat above. Make the line great. No, wait, that wasn't from Jamnik. Someone said LOL. Hurts so good. Come on, Jimmy, make it hurt so good. I said it has to be relevant, and I don't think that is. And I don't think Eric's willing to say it. But I'm not seeing otherwise what you're saying you think you said. So yeah, do post it again so we can see what the fuck you're talking about. Based on how you watched that last clip, you need to pay us hush money. Okay, I see what you're saying. I'm going to say, hey, we know what you were doing during that clip. And then you're going to say something like, we saw it all. All of it. All of it. And then I'll do the hush money thing.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for watching that clip. Did you know we saw what you were doing when you watched it?
We saw all of it. All of it. All of it.
All of it. So you're going to want to pay us hush money over at patreon.com/calltheline, where you can buy our silence and watch our patron exclusive podcast. Eric's been on it. He said it was his best online podcasting experience he's ever had. That's his authentic review. Unfortunately, we now have to go before he can say anything. But
yeah, before I can debunk any of these statements.
Leave a comment. Let's see. Can you read the one from Raven?
Okay, let me pull it over to the screen so I can look at the screen while I read it.
Yeah.
Hit like and subscribe, or Ginny. Okay, try to take two. Hit like and subscribe, or Jimmy will have to go on a polyamorous dating show to win some prize money.
Wait, I want to do that. So also hit like and subscribe, and then go to patreon.com/calltheline. I was trying to make you laugh and ruin the take. That's why that silly face earlier. If I was on a polyamorous dating show, I would just choose everybody. Except Frederick. Leave a comment. Just anyone named Frederick. Fuck that guy. You know what I mean? Don't include that part on the clip. We don't need to get demonetized for me saying fuck that guy. I don't care about Frederick's feelings, but, fucks her. Fucks her tough. All right, here we go.
They're still rolling in.
Do you know who I love, Eric? The late, great Hannibal Lecter. So if you liked that clip the way I like the late and great Hannibal Lecter, you hit that like and hit subscribe, and I'm having trouble remembering where they could go to donate. Where could they go, Eric? Where would it be?
Well, you go to patreon.com/calltheline and you donate some money, and you'll have the same satisfaction as chewing succulent human flesh, which will probably happen if Trump gets reelected.
And you can stay right here if you want to listen to more Trump impressions as though the impression was done by Emo Phillips, which is what I believe just happened. Like and subscribe. What the fuck was that, Eric?
I don't know. I don't do impressions. I told you. So spoilers, folks. Jimmy called me today for the Live on the Line podcast, and I told him explicitly that I don't do impressions. And that's evidence, proof right there that I do not do impressions. I am terrible at them. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, this one's kind of good. Actually, yeah. Will you read, because you've got the teleprompter thing apparently. Will you read the one from Alyssa?
Sure.
Did you do the Elgato one? That thing's tight. Is it the Elgato one? The Elgato teleprompter?
No, I don't have an Elgato teleprompter. I have a it's a third-party tray with a LCD screen in it, so it's like kind of like my own creation.
I have a pretty good teleprompter, but it's not hooked up to this computer, so I can't just pull it over right now.
Nice.
But anyway, go on.
Okay. I lost it. Okay, here we go. Let me read this really quick. Okay. We haven't gotten evidence for God yet, but the next caller could be the one to give it. Okay, do that again. We haven't gotten evidence for God yet, but the next... Oh, now you just ruined it. Thank you so much. Okay, one more time. I can't see you because I have the window over my teleprompter, so I'm just seeing the chat. All right, here we go. We haven't gotten evidence for God yet, but the next caller could be the one to give it. If you didn't hit that like button, subscribe, and become a Patreon, we may not be able to take that call.
Do all those things. Like, subscribe. And by the way, Eric, I don't understand why no one has been able... It would be so... Proving God is easy. Literally, I've got it right now. All you have to say is, and then just cut it right there, Arden. Just don't let the clip end right there. I feel like she's going to cut it after I said that.
Just question. I just ran out of water, and I know Eric would like to probably go spend some time with his wife. So how much more are we doing of these?
We haven't even gone as long as the earlier show was, and all of us are making money off of this. I thought I knew you two.
I just asked the question. I just asked the question. Why are you being so defensive? I just would like to go get some water. Okay.
Now you can get sparkling water.
You're right.
You've got time to go get water. Go grab some water. We'll keep recording them until you get back. But
did you say sparkling water? Sparkling water?
Sparkling water. Yeah.
Sparkling.
All right. To make other people happy, because I'm nothing but a people pleaser, we're only going to do the ones that are now left. So Stop sending super chats. I guess if you're mid-sentence, go ahead and send it through. But
yes.
Let's see. Sam says, Jimmy, is your perpetually sweet demeanor on account of your Mormon roots? Eric, read me a bedtime story, please. Sam, is this the first time you've ever seen me? Because no one thinks I'm sweet. They seem to think I'm really mean. I've actually been trying to kind of chill it out because I'm recognizing that a lot of my autism comes off as fucking bitterness and resentment. And I'm trying to not be so...
Jimmy's a teddy bear. Jimmy's a teddy bear. Not literally, because he'd be full of stuffing and have a button nose, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
He's saying I'm fat. That's fair enough. It's true. Sheridan wanted to say, do not let Judy Vance near your couch. Like and subscribe, or Vance gets your cats, ladies. Okay, so you didn't do the rule was $10, but also I'm not going to imply that the future vice president is going to fuck people's cats or just say it. That one's a little too far for me. And that they probably are going to win, and I don't want to die.
I don't think that's what that says, because what's this JD Vance, his anecdote of his experience with the couch?
In addition to him
saying that.
What is that anecdote? How old was he when he fucked the couch? Because I think we might want to back off this one. Otherwise, people are going to start talking about, you don't want to know the things teenage boys will try to see what it feels like if they just, when you're going through puberty, you see two rocks close to each other and you think, what my dick would feel like. But in fact, we had a couch that I thought about it. I don't think I ever did it, though it wouldn't surprise me if somebody was like, you actually did. And I have proof. I don't think I did it, but there was this couch we had where the cushions were like pretty held into place. And then it had like, my couch had labia is what I'm getting at. It had like around the rim. I definitely thought about it. Okay. So if he was a kid, I'd maybe back off that, because fucking just be glad that they're taking it out on couches and not other weird, creepy shit.
Folks, for the record, fucking a couch has never once crossed my mind. Let's leave it there.
This guy has clearly fucked a ton of couches. Everybody here is so full of shit. And again, the point wasn't specifically whether it was a couch. It's it's that phase of puberty where you're like, masturbation's unlocked so much in my mind. I have to enhance this. I have to elevate it. The apple pie from, right? Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right.
And Eric fucked a pie.
That's exactly what I just said, Jimmy. Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly my.
Wasn't his name Eric Eric Stifler? Wasn't that his name in the movie?
Good grief, that's such a long time ago.
Maybe that was the movie later.
I'm looking.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do Williams. If you like that clip, join us. After I say like, subscribe, patreon.com/ I'm going to do that thing. And then we're going to go, and if you like that clip, join us. No, we'll do that first. And then you're going to say, join us. And then I'm going to say, and we're going to go back and forth a few times until Arden out of nowhere also.
Oh, I see.
Join us. And then I'll do the patreon.com/call the line.
Should we become more sensual as we say it, as we go?
I'd say more alien. Like we're trying to,
more alien.
One of us.
Join us.
Assimilate.
Okay, fine.
Assimilate into the brain collective or whatever. Thank you for watching that clip. If you enjoyed it, perhaps you should join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us. I didn't like that last one at all.
Anytime now, Arden.
Join
I'm
us.
back. Join us.
At patreon.com/call the line. The one kind of made me nauseous. When you whispered it. Oh man, I didn't like it at all. That hit my heebie-jeebies. Jimicent Brocephus Snow.
This is not what I expected when I started this episode tonight.
I'll change Brocephus because Brocephus is a trademark of Godless Engineers, but I can do Jimicent Brocephelius Snow. Thank you for watching that clip. I'd like you to know that I, Jimicent Brocephalius Snow, endorse this clip for Comptroller. What do you endorse it for, Eric? Anything.
I'm sorry.
Patreon.com/call-the-line. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment.
Patreon.com/call-the-line, folks. Go and donate. Ignore Jimmy's really awkward recitation of his own name, which was very oddly suspicious.
I'm gesturing like a politician. Now I'm gesturing to patreon.com/call-the-line.
No, you need the Bob Dole pen. There you go, like this.
Read my lips. That's not Bob Dole. Bob Dole.
That's not Bob Dole.
Go do the thing. Let's see.
Is that it? Is it finally over?
Hit like and subscribe. Hit like and subscribe, or Eric is going to arrest me for enjoying a meal, a succulent Chinese meal. Where should they go? You're going to say
Patreon.com/call-the-line.
He was going to say that.
You understand there's a lag, right? There's a second between.
He was going to say, everybody, forget patreon.com/call-the-line, where you could support this channel and get exclusive access to our patron supporter podcast. He was going to say, everybody watching should go to hell. And I don't believe that. I think you should go to patreon.com/call-the-line, where you can get access to our patron podcast and all those other things I said. Join us.
Join us.
Okay, that's enough. All right, was there any other? I think that's it.
Go to patreon.com/call-the-line, and for every $1 donated, Jimmy will go and fuck himself. Literally.
We're going to have to bleep that, of course. Arden, you're going to have to bleep that if you want to use
literal
it.
part?
But the one time he decides he's going to come up with one, he goes with one we just can't use. So that's great. Hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment.
And go to patreon.com/call-the-line.
No, that's way too long.
You can edit. There's a thing called editing, Jimmy. You can remove frames in between sentences to tighten things up. We do it all the time.
Who are we? Ray William Johnson? We going to smash cut this thing?
Oh my God. There is a lag between us though. Like you're what, 1,500, 2,000 miles away. So it takes light a little bit of time to get here. So it's,
I'm going to count down from
once it goes through all the stuff.
I'm going to count down from 5. I'm going to say 5, 4, 3. No, I'm going to count down from 3, and then I'm going to say now. 3, 2, 1, now. And you say now at the same time as me, according to your perspective.
All right.
3, 2, 1, now.
Now.
Yeah. I wonder if it was fewer head shakes for the people watching versus me. Probably not, because I think you probably, well, I don't know. Yeah, I think you probably go to the software, and then your video goes to the software and to YouTube, and mine goes to the software and to YouTube, to Arden, and then to YouTube.
Yeah.
So what we actually see of each other could technically be a bit different than what gets to YouTube. I don't know. Anyway, Arden said if you don't end this episode sooner, that she's going to pour sparkling waters into my eyes. So we have to go. There's 666 people watching right now who stuck around for this bullshit. You 666
watching
are really cool for staying this long. That's dope. But we could run the outro, I guess. I very quickly lost.
You're lucky
like
I didn't
half of the energy I just had.
Shit.
Oh, Matt. Why? I wish you didn't know we did it, Matt. I was definitely going to subject you to this. I mean, we still will do it together, but I was definitely going to subject you to this later. Love you, babe. It's sweet that he watched. It is nice that he watched us do it. I mean, it makes me feel nice, but